Could you all hear my crunching? I forgot to mute myself. Sorry about that. Hey, but at least I'm in better shape than Ray is over there. Ray, that was the most epic post on Facebook of all of your stuff. Ray, how you doing?
That's my dilemma. We've run out of surface space to put everything.
That was, wait, can we show it? That was so fantastic.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can find it. Facebook.
My wife was not pleased that I posted that, but the only thing I have to do is get it all cleaned up before the grandkids show up.
Okay, wait, here it is. So check this out. There's music that goes with it too. It just never stops. I love that so much.
You don't see underneath the tables. The buckets o cables. I mean, buckets o cables.
Amazing. So much gear. Now, how much of that is now set up?
I have a Mac M2 Pro and one monitor. Don't try to do this business in one monitor, folks. And then I have the Mac Air plugged into my prop Ivy. It's a challenge, but it's the kitchen, and we meet challenges all the time, don't we?
You know what your problem is?
Yes.
Is that you moved. Like
right.
You just need to never move, ever.
Let me give you my wife's phone number. We had to move. We were 40 miles away. Now we're maybe 10 miles away from the grandkids. 11-year-old boy, 13-year-old girl. We all know they need grandparents, and that's why we're here. The midnight runs to help the kids was just more than she could deal with.
That's a very good reason. Very good reason to move.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
But my grandkids, when I have them, will just have to suffer because there's no way I'm unplugging everything and moving it.
I met a neighbor next door who's here in Florida. Their grandkids are in San Diego, 3,000 miles away. They see them twice a year. They seem perfectly happy with that.
There you go. There you go. It's really good to see you, Ray. And Robert, how are you?
Hey, good to see you, David.
What's going on?
You're crunching again.
I'm hungry.
Enjoy your meal. Not that you can call crisps a meal. I am very well, thank you. Been very, very busy. And this evening, if you don't mind, evening my time, I'm going to be playing with synchronizing the audio and video on Mimo Live, going out via NDI and then sending it across over an RTMP stream to Vimeo. So I've got a private session here to see how it goes. If it's in sync, that's my challenge.
Good. Absolutely. Let us know the results of that.
Absolutely. I will share them with you.
Hello, Mr. Mike.
Hello, Mr. David.
How you doing, sir?
Doing all right. Staying dry would be the official answer, as I posted in chat. So if Frank and I disappear for any particular reason, you guys have been warned.
Wait, what's going on up there?
Been a busy morning. There's a major flood in, more specifically, downtown Montreal. And needless to say, they said the water was coming out in people's basements to the point of a couple of feet a minute. So it did quite well down there. So one of the major data centers in Canada is affected by this.
Wow.
So we may run into issues during the show.
David and I would like to ask a question. What is a basement? We don't have basements in Florida.
Well,
I'm a New Englander, so
it would be a place where Ray would be putting all the junk that he showed on the video into the basement.
That's exactly right. That's where you store all that junk. Absolutely.
We don't have storage lockers necessarily as much in Canada. That's called basements and garages. But we do our best to put it in the basement first. Then we go to the garage if we really, really need to.
That's fantastic.
Mike, do your cars have trunks or boots?
Our cars have trunks. Yes, trunks. Yeah, we don't put in the boot of the car, but that would be John that would actually talk about that.
My car has frunk.
By the way, I just have to say, I'm so embarrassed by myself. Yesterday, I stopped to get gas, and there was a Tesla Cybertruck there, and I can't stop staring. I'm so embarrassed. I think it's just curiosity. I don't get it.
It is.
No, I think, David, it was amazement that you saw a Tesla Cybertruck at a petrol station.
Well, no, there were chargers there. It was charging. It was charging. It was charging. You're right. That would have been cause for surprise. You're absolutely right about that.
Yeah. A lot of the petrol stations are adding Tesla superchargers. Yeah. So it's not unusual, for example, to get down where I'm like 20% and I want to add a fast 40% to my tank, which will take about 10 minutes. I back up to the supercharger, plug it in, walk into the Wawa or the gas station or a restaurant, get a coffee, go to the bathroom, and you get a text from your car that says 1 minute left until you're fully charged, and you go back to the car and drive away. So except for people who just say they hate Tesla people or whatever, and they park in the Tesla spots with their F-150 trucks.
Oh no. For those of you who don't know what a Wawa is, it's the best service station kind of rest stop shop ever in the country.
Except for Buc-ee's.
Oh, Buc-ee's is good too.
Yeah.
Let's finish making the rounds. Hey, Frank.
Good day.
How are you, sir?
Good. Wawa is a city in northern Ontario that has a giant goose. That's what a Wawa is to me.
A giant goose.
Gigantic, yeah, like bigger than a car.
Oh yeah, it is the ultimate, Instagram-ish moment,
Why?
It's massive. Well,
but why do they have a goose?
It's their patron saint. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Goose Bay, I don't know.
It's a Canada goose, so you guys are infamously know about our Canada geese. And why Wawa? I don't know.
That's all right. We love Wawa. Mr. Andy, how are you, sir?
I'm good. Yourself?
Good. It's so good to see you here.
Yeah.
Andy is one of our Ecamm and Ecamm for Zoom experts over in the Ecamm fam, and it's really lovely to see you here. I'm glad to have you. This is not your first time though, so it's not like you're a newbie, but good to have you here. Mr. Drinkwater, how you doing? Lord.
Well, I'm a bit hungry because I'm still having my dinner, but I'm fine, thank you.
Well, I'm still having my little snack here of animal crackers, so. Cheers. Hey, Hasmuk. How are you, sir? You good? It's the middle of the night by Hasmuk. It's good to see you, sir. Jason, how are you?
Very good.
What's going on in your part of the world? Anything exciting?
Less humidity today. You can actually be outside for a little bit without feeling like your clothes are wet.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
That's a rarity in August.
It is indeed. And Roland, who reminds us that we should be calling them service stations, not gas stations. Absolutely correct. Good to see you. Oh, dear Lord. Okay, Frank. Here's the bird. What is it? The goose. Here's the goose. That's quite the goose. That's an impressive looking goose. Wait, let me do myself here. That's a good looking goose right there. With the flag behind it. That's so perfect.
Also known as a cobra chicken in Canada.
A cobra chicken. Should I ask why?
Because they like,
you brought it up.
Because they like to attack. They're very aggressive.
All I know about geese are that they poop everywhere. Everywhere. That's all I know about geese.
And parks in Canada will actually bring a transport truck to actually, bring them all together as if they're putting cattle into a truck to take them elsewhere because of how many offspring they make.
Mm-hmm.
They bring them over the border into our land.
That's our immigration problem right there.
Right. Forget about the
Stop
southern border. We need to refocus our efforts at the northern border.
Northern border with the damn geese.
These freaking geese.
Hey, folks. So we had a pretty fantastic session last week about Zoom Docs. We can certainly talk more about that. I'm going to be perfectly honest. I haven't even looked at it since last Friday. I haven't even played with it. I haven't had the inclination to, which is makes me sad a little bit. We do have some release notes for August 19th, but before I jump into that, is anyone here with anything that they want to test, try, question, anything at all?
David, did you continue with saying hi to everybody or no?
Who'd I miss?
Well, Jason did say hi by himself because he was picking on us Canadians. So
no, I called on Jason. Yeah, I called Jason. I got John. I got Hasmuk. I got Andy. I don't know. Who'd I miss?
You're right. You grabbed.
You didn't say hi to Mimo Recorder.
Mimo Live. You're right. WLM meters. Yeah. Whoa, I'm really hot today. What is going on? Why am I so hot? That's weird. In any case, by the way, I've decided that I really want a Sennheiser shotgun mic, like the really nice one that can sit right above me, right out of screen. Can't afford it, so I'm not going to get it. But I've decided I really want one. My birthday's in February, if y'all were curious.
Ray's probably got 6 of them nearby. He can send you one.
You're right, Ray. Look under the bed. Please grab me
or
a
in the
Sennheiser.
hold on, check the basement too. Don't forget.
Does anyone have anything they wanted to play with? Or a nice gooseneck. Thank you, John. Beautiful. We have a few people that are capturing this meeting. Andy is doing some capturing with Ecamm, I assume.
Actually, I'm just playing with ZoomISO today.
Oh, ZoomISO. Nice. What do you use ZoomISO for?
Nothing yet.
Oh,
I'm playing around with it.
All right.
So,
are you thinking that ZoomISO offers something that other solutions may not?
the unique speaker.
Right. Which we're waiting for over in Ecamm. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely. I think that's actually what's preventing me. That's what's keeping me from using more of that integration is the fact that I can't. Yeah, you're exactly
Well,
right.
and I like too that I can basically say anybody active speaker, whereas in Ecamm you have to add them as a camera.
Right. Yeah, those two things. You're right. Anyone active speaker and then unique speaker. Absolutely. For those of you who may not have heard what ZoomISO, and I think it was the latest release, they came out with this unique speaker, which essentially says, if you're building a scene and say I've got Andy on my scene, and then I could put another placeholder for a unique speaker, and it will take anyone, except Andy, except who's already been brought in through an ISO feed. Did I describe that correctly?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, which is a very nice feature.
Make some additional suggestions for you, Andy, if you're using ZoomISO.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure.
There's a really nice recorder that will capture, that you can put on the same Mac that you have your ZoomISO running on, and you can record directly out of ZoomISO into the recorder on the same machine. If you want the name of that, I can give you that. I can share that with you.
Wait.
Sure.
Robert, is that's a third-party tool?
Yes.
Interesting. Is it Mac or PC? Can you tell us more about that?
It's Mac. It's called, it's called the LiveMind Recorder. You can Google it.
Okay.
and it's really good. You can set up, I think it's up to 16 channels, and define the format of the outputs, and select where when I record over the network into a NAS, and that really works well because I don't want to blog up to mess up my hard disk drive on my Mac Mini. So that's one thing and of course, I don't know if you've played with tiles yet. That's available.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Good.
Credit for I think for introducing him to tiles, and we've become
Absolutely, David.
become a little obsessed with it. Yeah.
Yes.
In fact, I don't have mine
Absolutely.
up right now, which is weird. I should. I'm gonna bring it up. Pencil condenser. Oh God, my boom mic for 3 years. Frank, that's your. Oh, the Samson CO2. Okay, I'll check it out. Thank you. That recording thing is interesting. You can't get those recordings in ZoomISO itself?
Not yet. I'm sure it's somewhere in the pipeline because it's something that we've been asking for. But the beauty about this recording tool is that it sits on the same Mac. So you're not using any network. You can do a NDI out from my ZoomISO straight back into the live recorder. And this is a recorder that our friend Andy, not Andy Lehman, but Andy from Liminal
Carluccio.
suggested. Paluccio.
Oh, great.
So, and it works like a dream. It does the job every time. And the good thing about it is when you're recording, you can set up one drive to record to and a second backup drive. So if the main drive gets full or is inaccessible at any one point, it just switches over to the backup drive.
Sorry, I disappeared. My tiles Mac isn't working, so I'm rebooting it. I have to stretch. Oh,
Are you looking for the tiles on your floor?
exactly. I had to get tiles. By the way, when you rolled back to your other computers, I thought to myself, boy, when I grow up, I want to be like Robert, and I want to just be surrounded by computers, rolling back to them.
But if you do that, don't ever move.
That's it. Exactly.
I can assure you, Robert's wife does a lot of traveling, so he doesn't have to move.
Desktop application letting you monitor and record up to 16 NDI sources, utilizing NewTek's latest NDI 4.5 recording capabilities. Configurable multi-view with multiple layout. What is this called? Wait, I want to look it up now. What's it called again? Sorry.
LiveMind recorder.
LiveMind.
The link is
David,
in
the
the
link-
chat.
Yeah.
Yeah, Frank put it in there.
Oh, thank you.
Who builds this?
It's actually built by a young Polish guy, and he built it to put on to a NDI TV network.
That's very cool.
multicast.
Definitely a good use of multi-view, especially if you want multi-cameras on a PC.
Is it subscription, Robert, or is it a one-time fee?
It's a one-time fee.
Cool.
I can't type on my other computer. What the hell's going on? Heck. Sorry. Hold on.
Because David's running around his office now.
Good film.
They just don't work.
I think
wait,
David's got a bit envious of Ray's equipment, so he's looking for his additional equipment underneath his table and everywhere else.
I'm like, I have enough stuff. I'm happy with my stuff.
Now David just has to pretend he's going into the basement.
No. I do have an attic here, which is terrifying to go into, I have to say. Cool. Okay. What else do we have? Anything else? Before we can jump into stuff, but I want.
Did you look at the Zoom automations that I mentioned last time?
No.
It's okay if you say no. I just wondered
I
if
don't
you
think
did.
I remember the Zoom automations you mentioned last time. Can you
It's in the
refresh my
Discord.
memory?
I don't know that much about it yet, but Zoom, I guess, is having automations where you can do if-then sort of logic maybe it's sort of similar to AI, but instead of answers, you can make things happen. I
Is
think
this-
it's in beta.
Oh, is this something new? I don't think I've seen it.
Yeah.
David, I think we may have somebody on YouTube that works for Zoom.
We
with a
may. I
comment.
saw that. We may have someone. Yeah, he was commenting on the unique speaker. He says that right now it goes to video loss mode, and you can, at least in tiles, you can set that. You can in ISO also. Sorry, you can set the video loss mode to. You have a few different options, but they're changing that so that it stays on the last speaker. Glad to see the enthusiasm. Oh yeah. I mean, pretty much everything they build over at Liminal and Zoom is a game changer, but this, for me at least, this is one of them. Here's the link from Frank. Frank, thank you. I apologize. Let me grab this link so we can take a look at it. I'll bring it over here. There it is. All right, let's take a look here. I don't think I saw this. Workflow automation in beta. Oh, this is, This is like, what is that thing called? Make.com, and there's another one. What's the big one? It's been around forever. Can't remember the name. So how do we join this? Let's join. Sign me up. Did I already sign up? My mouse yet again. There we go. My account, I guess I have to log in to do this. All right, let's log in. No, I would like to use a different account, please. Let's use that one. Can you tell I have a few Zoom accounts, by the way, from that ridiculous list that I just had up there?
David, I just need to clarify one thing. A few does not mean 100,000. A few means something that will fit onto one hand, like the number of fingers you've got about 50 there.
Yeah, I know it's a problem. Now, why can I not type in this thingy dingy? It's not letting me type in here. Hold on. There we go. It's funny. Oh no, that's not the right one. 108.
I missed my opportunity for a mwah. Okay, there we go.
Why is this not working? What is going on here? Oh, because I'm doing the wrong one. Because I'm an idiot. I was actually talking with someone earlier today about doing. See, now I'm not at this place anymore. So about doing Zoom production work and using in this case it was using Ecamm for Zoom, and we were talking about how best practice is really to use two different meetings. Have your talent in one meeting, have your audience in a second meeting. And she asked me, so what would I need a second account for that? And can I get a free account? And it was just funny because I thought, how could you only have one Zoom account? How is that possible? All right, let's see if I can now find this.
There's the haves and the have-nots.
Yeah, I guess so. All right, now let's try and go back. All right, so now I'm in. Now, see, it keeps telling me to sign in, but then it doesn't take me to the thing. So how do I get to that?
So what I think happens, David, is it takes you to your account, and then in your account, you go account management general. I think by clicking on it, it adds it to your account, but it also says it's not available to all licenses and all segments of the customer base. So,
all right, account management. And I'm sorry, you said settings?
Scroll down, it should say workflow management beta.
Yep.
Says account management,
No
account
data.
settings, general tab.
Yep. So I have it here. Workflow. I actually have a, well, what do I have? I mean, I see it here, but there's nothing to do. So maybe it's not enabled.
Oh, I see it too.
Yeah, but I'm not sure what to do with it. There's nothing to do here.
Well, you probably enable it, and then you probably go to your personal
So you think
account
it's in
settings
here?
and see
All right,
what
let's
happens.
look.
I can't do this
General.
in my account right now.
Well, that's why we come to the kitchen. Workflow. Aha! Son of a gun. Let's turn you on, my friend.
Ooh.
Allow incoming webhooks to trigger workflows? Sure, why not?
Can
I
you
don't
make
know
this
what
a
that
little
means.
bigger?
Yeah, sorry.
Cool, thanks.
By enabling workflow automation for your user, you're agreeing to Zoom's beta. Allow incoming webhooks to trigger workflows. I should do that, yes?
I imagine it won't work if you don't.
Yeah.
The other thing I'll mention about this while we're on this topic is it's free to use right now, which usually makes me feel like once it's out
Oh,
of beta,
man.
you'll have to pay for this.
I'm going to fall in love with something and then I'm going to have to pay for it again. Yeah. All right, now I still have nothing to do here.
Zoom clips all over again.
Yeah, exactly. You're right. Okay, I've got nothing going on here. So let me go back and see if maybe I missed a setting or something. What just happened? Hello. Oh, there we go. All right, I'm looking for automation. Workflow automation. Okay, it's turned on, so new. So presumably now I go to workflow management. Well, I wonder actually if these are two different things. Workflow automation and workflow management. I wonder if that's two different things. Oh, workflows. Sorry. Okay, here we go. Oh, look at this. Oh my goodness. Oh, let's build something. Let's have some fun here. All right, create a workflow.
Well, I don't care. Do
Wait.
whatever you want, but welcoming new members seems like a useful one.
Okay, where is that? Introduce new members?
Yeah.
Okay. So here's what we've got. So on the left-hand side here, we've got greet new channel members with a warm and friendly something. There's a message form, channel operators, meetings. This looks like it's for chat, but let's go ahead and play with it. So when a new member joins, yeah, this is for chat. So when a new member joins, select channel. Oh, come on, man. Sorry, my mouse is having issues today. I think in part it's because I'm blowing the window up. So trigger on channel join. I don't know that I actually don't know that I have any channels here, so. Oh my goodness, I am having such mouse issues. I apologize, everyone. Let me try and plug it in and see if that makes a difference. It's making it very hard to navigate around. Okay, that may be better. All right, trigger on channel join. That's what we want. And then at least 3 letters. I don't know that I even have a channel. Maybe I should do that first. Let me go into chat, my account. Anyone know where chat would be? Oh, it's in you created
Desktop
in the,
app.
yeah, in the desktop app. Sorry about that. Let me open that up. Okay, so now I'm in
Team chat.
Team chat. All right, and let's create a channel, and we'll call it
Welcome.
Well, welcome.
Channel. I don't know. The thing that's interesting about this to me is if Zoom's exploring having automations, where else would the automations show up eventually?
Right. Yeah. Everyone, and I'll say who can add external by all approved channel members. Okay. Create channel. All right. So now let's go back over here. Sorry, I have to figure out which tab it's in. Here it is. So we'll type welcome. I'm gonna have to refresh this, I think. Select a channel. Uh-oh. Free up space. All right, select a channel. Welcome. There we go. Welcome. Save. Okay. So now send a direct message to the user who joined the channel. Hi, the user who joined the channel. Welcome to the channel that the user has joined. We're excited to have you here. Please fill out the intro form to tell us more about yourself. And then the next action is collect info in a form. We'd love to get you know better. Tell us a little more about yourself, title and key responsibilities. Then send a direct message to that user. Check out these resources to get started. Then send a message to the channel. Wow, let's give a big welcome to. Here's a little background about title and key responsibility. Wow, 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 wow. All right, let's, should we see if this actually works? I wonder if I can invite one of you. Who would like to be invited to this? I think it has to be someone I'm connected with. And I believe, well, actually, maybe not. Who's comfortable giving me an email address that I can pop in here? Anyone? I mean, I could actually probably use one of my own if you'd like. You know what? Let me do that. Let me put in, because I'm on the same account. Oh, wait, what just, hold on, I'm confused. Oh, I'm sorry. This is just search for members. Search.
There's
or
one
add
in the chat.
members. Okay.
Pete
Yeah.
volunteered.
And Ray did also, but I don't quite understand this. I'm a little confused here by this because it says, it's not letting me zoom in, sorry. It says search or add members, but then from that, you can't actually add from there. You have to click on copy link. You have to click there. I gotta change this. Ray at myiv.com. Yeah. IVI, right, Ray? Yeah? Okay.
Yes,
right, great.
myivi.com.
And I'm also going to add this account just for the heck of it. Okay. All right. So now, oh, you know what? Wait a second. I wonder if I should have launched this first. Confirm. Publish. So now, when one of us presumably joins, we should get a something, right? It's going to be hard for me to join. Ray, are you able to, did you get anything?
There's a notification right there on the screen that says Ray is not allowed to join this channel.
Why?
If I had to guess, because he's external, so you go back and check your permissions.
But I did, and I said I wanted to add him. I like Ray.
It could
Where
be
is
our
it?
corporate structure too. I'm not thoroughly aware of how Edelson set it up, so it may not allow that, but that would surprise me.
Yeah, I do.
We have that problem in Teams all the time.
Do you?
Oh yeah. Getting external people into a Teams meeting.
There's your edit your workflow. I
Yeah,
think
edit,
on the
edit channel. Hold on a second. So it's public. External users can be added. Oh, maybe I
by
have
all
to
approved
approve.
channel members.
Maybe I have to approve it. Let me see. Did I get a message or something? Let me see if I got a pop-up or something.
Or just change it to only to the channel owner and admins, assuming that's you.
Well, yeah, but it should be everyone. Where would I just want to say again, this is, yeah. Okay, wait a second. No, welcome. Yeah, I don't see I don't see in anything. Let me on my phone, let me log out and switch to a different account. Let's see if I can get in that way. Okay. So now I'm here. I'm in team chat. And I see welcome. And nothing's happened. Maybe it's because I joined the thing before I published this. Let me delete this. No, I don't want to do that. I want to remove. Sorry. Remove. Okay. Now I have this workflow. Let's just double check this. I've got the workflow here and it should be working. Yes.
What happens when you click on introduce new members?
It's going to work. It's going to bring up the, this thing again.
Oh, the workflow. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So this, okay. So this should work. It's published. All right. So now let me come in and add this again. And let's see if I get anything. Oh, okay. Hold on. Hold your horses, everyone.
And there's a couple of red number 1s, and then there's a red number 2 on the left-hand side of the navigation panel.
Yep, hold on a second. I got something going here. Bear with me for a moment. I'm just connecting so you all can see this. We need some music. Oh, come on, connect. There we go. Okay.
Oh, you can only play 8 seconds of that song, David.
Oh, sorry. Okay. All right. So now, you
Even
can...
Merv Griffith's son cannot sing more than 8 seconds of that song.
All right. So here we go. So now you can see I've got this message that says, "Hi, TTG Productions. Welcome. We're excited to have you here. Please fill out the intro form to tell us more about yourself. We'd love to get you know better. Please fill out this form." I'm going to click on view. Tell us a little more about yourself. I love Zoom. Title and key responsibilities. Toro Tech Guy. Hobbies and interests. Cooking in the kitchen. Whoops. And anything you'd like to share. I love Zoom. Submit. And then I've got check out these resources to get started in welcome. And then I didn't put any resources in, but okay. So then that's that. And now over here, I've got, I'm not sure if you'll be able to see this very well and I apologize again, it's not letting me zoom in for some reason, but it says, let's give a big welcome to TTG Productions. Here's a little background about TTG Productions. I love Zoom, title and key responsibilities, That's kind of cool. That's really nice. I like that a lot.
You saw it here first, folks.
Yes. Again, I just want to say that, and I'm an outcast in this respect, but for me, none of these tools work if I can't use them with people outside of my work. Right? I work with lots of people, and I'd love to use this like I would use Discord or something. But the fact that I can't invite someone.
I read on Zoom Community today or yesterday that at the end of August, there's going to be some new functionality about allowing external people to do things. So maybe by the end of August, some of those restrictions will be eased.
And I'm not saying, by the way, that I want people who don't have a Zoom account. I'm fine with having to authenticate, but to have these tools restricted to just people in my org. And again, for someone like Frank, it probably actually makes perfect sense to have it because your org is, I'm assuming, tens of thousands of people. My org is me. And so it doesn't do me any good, right? But if you're, or if you have a pro account, you're alone. And so how can you use team chat successfully if you're on a pro account? Hey, Ray, how are you?
I'm good. I haven't actually tried it out yet, but as you know, I am one of those lowly pro accounts, and I have two paid accounts. It's me and the computer over here, but they're both me. But I do have external contacts with a lot of people. Some of you people at Zoom. Do we know whether it will work with your already established external contacts? I mean, like, could
Maybe because Ray at my Ivy isn't, I'm not connected with him already, you're saying.
Right.
Okay, let's give that a shot. Let's, that's a really interesting point. So let's see if I am connected with you, Ray, I believe.
I believe so. With
yeah.
one or another.
Do you mind if
ID.
I invite you?
Hit me up, sir?
All right, I just hit you up.
Let's see here. I have many chat windows open. There is something from, oh, look.
And I can
welcome channel. Yes.
Yeah. So, and I can see external user present. Okay. So my bad. It's because I'm not connected with him. But so here's what I would have, while you're doing whatever you're doing, I just want to say, Zoom said to me, hey, Ray at my Ivy is not allowed to join this channel. What I would have preferred is for it to say, you're not connected to Ray at my Ivy. Would you like to add him as a contact?
Yes.
And then that would have been helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So did you get the message, the welcome, and then the questionnaire thing?
I got the introduce new members workflow, and the I think answers that you provided. I did not get a request that I can tell to participate. I mean,
I see it here.
Something from David Paskin here.
Yeah, that's what it's going to be.
Oh, okay. Right there. So what I saw was the actual channel that had the information in it. We'd love to get to fill out this form. All right.
This is a nice integration here. So it's interesting. So the message comes as a DM from me to Ray, but then his answers will populate in the welcome channel, presumably, like mine did. While he's doing that, let's see what else we can do. Effortless replies with emojis, recording project time off requests, collect team feed. Yeah, I mean, I totally understand why this is for an org. Here we go. Let's give a big welcome to Ray Harwood. And there's the information. That is very cool. Jason, we're gonna definitely Ear Hero. Yeah, I have another one which I'll share with you also. And then my message went right back to him. Check out these resources to get started at welcome. And again, there's no information there, but I guess for me, my question is how I completely understand that how this is meant to be used in a team of a working team, but I don't know. It's just
you can have lots of different teams with lots of different members, and each team can have their own workflows. So the finance team may be doing something completely different than the policy team or something.
Yep. And we are getting word from YouTube, by the way, that this is all Ray's fault. Not Ray Harwood. You're okay. It's all Ray Franklin's fault. That it's because your Zoom org doesn't allow him to participate in other organizations, which I have to say, that's not nice, Ray. I mean, you share the love.
Talk to your administrator, Ray.
But that Zoom will automatically prompt to add a contact if needed, which is fantastic. That's what I was looking for. That's great. Should we build another one? What else could I'd love to try one that isn't here. Let's create a workflow. Schedule initiate via webhook. Start with an emoji. Launch from a link. Oh, let's try this. When a user clicks on, oh, this is all going to happen in chat. Am I right about that? This all happens in
Yeah,
Zoom
I think
chat?
it's all chat based for now.
Wait a second, maybe not actually. Because
Oh,
look, if I
okay.
go back to,
It's all connected to team chat, I
oh,
think.
it is? Okay. Okay.
I mean, there's tentacles out in other places, but I think everything.
I
my
could see something
understanding
like
is-
this coming to Zoom events, or if it's not already there, like would make sense to have automations in places like that.
You see. This URL, so launch from a link. So what do I do now? Oh, I guess I have to add, okay. So now I have to add something. Add a step from the menu. We're going to, I can do anything over here. We're gonna schedule a meeting. Oh, and then you fill out the information. So when you could, I don't know why you'd want to do this, but you could create I guess a button in chat that says, hey, oh no, of course this makes sense. You click a button that you can send to someone. When they click on it, it lets them schedule a meeting, I guess. I'm pretty sure I'm not doing this correctly. Very interesting. Conditions, switch. I'm not showing any of this. Oh yeah, I am. Okay. And Google Drive, is it create a Drive file? Google Mail, send an email.
So Zoom team chat kind of to me always felt like a Slack sort of competitor. Does Slack have, I don't use Slack very much anymore. Does Slack have these automations or similar kinds of automations?
So I don't know. I mean, I use Slack. This is a Slack that I'm in. If I had to guess, I would say it probably does. Maybe as add-ons. I mean, it has channels, it has huddles, it has Canvas, which is sort of like a whiteboard type of thing. My experience with Slack is that if you're not, it's great as a free app, but you don't get a lot of that stuff if
I'm just wondering who Zoom's competing with this. There's probably some other platforms that are similar, like chat-based automations.
I mean, Discord is what comes to mind. I don't know.
Well, and I would say I don't think they're trying to compete. I think they're trying to be an end all, here's a place and yeah, it's kind of Discord like, but it's kind of Slack like, and it's kind of like other things. But no, we want you to come to Zoom and do your team interaction through the tools that we provide.
Yeah, and Pete, by the way, it's I think it's less than a year that Slack starts deleting your messages. I know that they don't. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that 30 days. You lose stuff after 30 days. So.
Well, I think you did great for something you've never seen before. You made it do stuff in about 10 minutes.
Yeah, this is pretty cool, I have to say. I mean, I didn't actually do anything. I just clicked on the one that they had made for us, but it's very cool. Let's just see what this one is. When an emoji reaction is used, wait a second, what? Okay, we're going to choose think. So start with, all right, so what do I do here? When an emoji reaction is used in, let's choose, oh, sorry.
Select the channel.
Yeah, it's not entirely clear. That's actually just a UI piece. It wasn't entirely clear to me what I had to do. All right, so in the welcome channel, then switch. Huh. All right, so based on the emoji, this is a choose your own adventure. This is fun. So if you put in a thinking emoji, then reply to a message in the message that was reacted. Hey, thanks for the feature request. If they give you a heart, thanks for the positive feedback. If they give you a,
That's a nerd.
I don't even know that, a nerd.
It's a nerd.
Hey, that information is available from the FAQ document. All right, let's try this. Ready? So we're going to save and confirm and publish. So now, if I were to send a message, let's see, I'd love to know what you all think about this new project. And Ray, if you want to respond to that with a an emoji.
I'm multitasking here. I'll be there in a moment.
Okay.
I'm creating a Zoom team chat folder for ZTK so I can get all of you and all of the things
okay.
together in one spot.
Well, it's okay. I just responded to my own message with a heart, and it automatically replied saying, "Thanks for the positive feedback, David Paskin. We'll be sure to share it with the team." What else was there? There was the nerd, right? Let's see. This is the nerd, I think. Nerd. And then I got, hey, that information is available in the FAQ document. This is cool. This is really nice. I like you. I like you. Good find, Frank. Man, something else we have to play with now. Okay.
Are you bailing out at your traditional 5 o'clock?
Yeah, I usually do.
That's fine. If nobody has any pressing issues, there's the release notes. There was some interesting stuff in those.
Yeah, so we'll definitely do release notes. But if it's okay, I'd like to interrupt for a moment because we had a couple practice sessions this past week playing around with the idea of doing a couple of these as an experiment over in Zoom events with Ray. Ray, can I pick on you for a moment?
Pick away.
Are you awesome? So I just wanted us to have a conversation sort of about that experience, what people thought, what you were thinking, so that we can decide if we'd like to try it over there. I don't know if there's anything that, because you kind of ran those 2 sessions, I don't know if there's anything that you'd like to put out for us as a starting point.
Basically the rationale for wanting to do that, which we've talked about a little bit, and that is primarily security and being able to use the more secure aspect of Zoom events and Zoom sessions. The good news, if you want to be flexible, is that you can really open up Zoom sessions and even Zoom events so that anybody can join, whether they're authenticated or not, but they also have ways to lock them down even tighter than you can with a standalone webinar, for example. So my proposal and the way I've set the test up is that you have to be authenticated in the Zoom account attached to the invitation to Zoom Test Kitchen before you can get in. And that way we know that the people that are coming in are who they say they are, unless someone's stolen your account, which I suppose anything is possible. From there, the couple of tests that we ran, are really just getting together and trying things. I had to leave from the second session for another client engagement for a little bit. And apparently Mike and Robert Savabity also got together and tested a few things and came up with a list of a few things that apparently may not work in Zoom events that we normally like to use while we're in the Zoom Test Kitchen. Mike, are you prepared to give us a quick rundown of what might not work if we went that route?
Sure. This is, again, brief stuff that I tested with Robert, and Robert can input as well on some of the stuff that we noticed. The first one, which is a fairly big one, which would be what Robert is doing today, is the capabilities of letting our users come in and actually be able to use Beambo Live as Robert is today, or ZoomISO as not sure who that gentleman was today. I think, oh, is it Andy? Yes, that's right. It's Andy that actually came in with ZoomISO today. Robert, we did try that, right? with Mimo Live, and we ran into issues unless there was specific, unless that account was known to be authorized to be able to connect, correct?
Yeah, the issue there was that I didn't have a second account that was defined in Zoom sessions for me to attend the webinar as a panelist.
So really
Yeah.
from a security perspective, I mean, all you really have to do then is let me know that you need a second account and what is the email address that's associated with it. And I can add you as a non-speaker speaker, and that should be able to get right into the room.
Okay. It just will mean that as people come in on the fly, that we'll make sure that we have to be able to do that. So that
Well,
will
again, I would rather not have someone magically show up and go, oh, I want to test my Mimo today. I would rather have that request, passed in advance, so that we're not, scrambling to figure out, well, are you really who you say? Are you that sort of thing? But certainly, yeah, if all of a sudden Andy comes in and Andy goes, hey, I've got this second account over here. Can you drop it in? We can drop it in and make it happen. Yeah.
Right. The challenge is that I think part of the this is not for or against, but part of what we do here is we test stuff, and we want to make allowing people to test things easy and seamless and all that. So yeah, it's a balancing act.
And the reason that I am a little bit hesitant is, I can add one person as a co-editor, and I would make David the co-editor, I think. And David could go in and add, Robert's Mimo Live at, whatever, and put that right in, because I'm not always going to be able to be here, kind of on time. I've got other things that I'm late and so forth. So the beauty is that can be passed around to a couple of people, and it can get in.
Any other thought? Oh, Ray, could you actually talk a little, because this is, to me, I was only there for the first test session. To me, the most interesting piece of this was Ray Franklin not being able to get in. But I say that because Ray is like really smart. So can you talk, Ray, a little bit about what was going on there? Because we want to make sure that other people don't run into the same issue.
Sure. Everyone that came to the tests basically received a couple of emails from me, and I put in a list of questions, and I think the question was worded such that I want the email address associated with the Zoom account that you would normally join with. Maybe I didn't put that in there, but I got an email address from Ray that was basically not the one that he wanted to join with. And so is that how that worked out, right? That was more than 20 minutes ago. I forget.
It was my fault. I've often not paid attention to emails that I get because I joined too many things.
Yeah.
And that was a lesson for me to be more careful about it, because I have a number of accounts as well. I'm just getting used to the fact that my life is now living in myivy.com, and therefore I don't have anything else like Presentation Coach Ray or any of those other things. I don't have those present, but sometimes I type one of those email addresses, and or my system put in the wrong email address. So I'm just going to be a lot more cautious. David, I think it was entirely my fault.
But we had a couple other people as well who provided an email address, and one of them was my fault. Mike Latta had given me his email address, but I didn't drop him in as a speaker. And as soon as I made him a speaker, boom, he was able to get in just fine. So these are the typical one-off issues you get per person until they get it linked up to the right account, and then they can get in just fine. It's troubleshooting each new person that comes in. Well, which email address did you give us? Were you put in as a speaker, and that sort of thing. Robert.
Yeah, Ray, talk through so that we all have a clear understanding here what the difference between having a meeting with registration and what you doing over here in sessions is.
Sure. So
from a security point of view, just from
this took me months to
about.
figure out, Robert. You were asking an absolutely wonderful question, really. It took me months to figure this out years ago, but I thought when you registered and you got a link, that link was tied to your Zoom account. And so if you register with a particular Zoom email address, but you click that link while you are using a different account, Zoom doesn't care, didn't care then, and doesn't care now that you were in a different account when you clicked on the link. Since then, they've added you must be authenticated in order to get into a meeting. And most of us, I think, believe that authentication means that when you register with abcxyz.com, that you have to be in that account when you authenticate. And the answer to that, I found out, is no. You just have to be authenticated. You have to be signed in with a Zoom account. But the link that you click could have been done by a different registration. That's in standalone meetings and webinars with registration. In Zoom events, there is a ticket that you get when you get registered or when you are invited that is tied to your Zoom account. And that ticket basically requires you, unless the event organizer has checked the box, I don't really care about authentication, let people just join. All of the other functionality is you have to be in that account, logged in when you click the button to join the lobby or to join a session. You have to be authenticated to be permitted, and you have to be in that account in order for that to work.
It's just like showing up at a concert with your QR code for a ticket, but that it was under a different account or something. And if they're trying to match it,
right?
So
I want to see your driver's license and make sure that you are the person that has the ticket. That to me is sort of that analogy. Is I want to see your driver's license.
Right. It's the word ticket that is different. But I'd like to see in the invitation something that blows up a little more and say, "You idiot! Remember, choose the one you want."
This is not the account from which you registered. Yeah. Did I answer your question, Robert?
Not really, because you would explain the difference between the way registration and authentication works in a meeting and the way registration and authentication works in a Zoom event. My question is, from our point of view here in Zoom Test Kitchen, what's the difference from a security point of view? What are we actually achieving by doing that we wouldn't achieve by switching on authentication and having registration in the meeting?
Well, I think Mike and or Ray probably can confirm this, but I believe we've probably had some people who said, "Oh, that guy Ray Franklin isn't in. He was in last week. I'm going to join as Joe Schmuck at joeschmuck.com, but I'm going to change my display to Ray Franklin and see if they'll let me in."
Backstage, Robert, is one of the key things where you can actually, see the people have a conversation and get some sense, have some code word or something that you can talk to them. That's what I find valuable in the sessions events world.
Absolutely, I agree with you. I understand the backstage point of view, but I'm just looking at the security that we're getting from, because we're making a decision to move over and close the access to the Zoom Test Kitchen. That will happen only if you provide or if you get an authorized ticket to enter the event from Ray. Okay, so that's the decision we're making.
So the other thing, Robert, is that in Zoom events, provided you have credentials, you've been listed as a speaker and you've been vetted. When you join you come straight into, kind of what I refer to as backstage or on stage. You come into the webinar front space. I'm leaving open registration for anyone that wants to join in the audience, which would include, maybe the people that are joining via YouTube now. They would, like to be able to chat in, but they don't really want to kind of come in and get their video on and have their audio. They don't want to participate at the level that we're participating. They can still join the webinar as attendees, open-ended. I mean, I would love to have, it's limited to 100 people total because I've got a small license, but people could come in and be in the audience and not have to worry about it. And then they could type in the chat directly to us. They could type in the Q&A if they've got questions. And if we wanted to take the chance that somebody says, gosh, can I be brought on stage? Basically bring them backstage, vet them, turn on your camera, turn on your audio. I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. What's 14 plus 7? Things that you can't pre-record, and vet them and go, no, sorry, you're not it. Put them back out or let them in.
But Ray, what you're saying is that we're looking at a situation where we're actually moving from a meeting, which we have at present, to a webinar format. So that's like a different level of change that we're implementing. Because what we're proposing here is actually to move from a meeting to a webinar, from moving from an open without registration to a closed session that requires pre-registration and issuing of a link or a ticket to the person who has been authenticated by you in some way or the other.
Yeah.
So that's the difference that we're talking about. Because the backstage itself is available in a webinar, in a standard webinar. We don't need a sessions license to do that. We don't need to go into sessions or Zoom events to get onto the backstage, correct?
Correct. You do need the sessions license, but
we don't need to
but you don't
have
need
everyone
to be in sessions. Correct.
So we're actually making a lot of changes here, and I just want to make sure that everyone is comfortable and understands the implications of these changes.
Well, just to be clear, we're talking about experimenting. So I'm not, as far as I'm concerned, nothing is forever. So if we want to try this, we can try it. If we don't want to try it, we don't have to. Let me get John in real quick because I saw his hand up. John, did you want to jump in?
Well, it sounds to me like all you're asking is to run a Zoom webinar. And run a Zoom webinar. I don't know if we have a webinar license on the current account. If you do, you can actually you can convert the meeting from a meeting to a webinar, and you can run a few webinars, try it out. If you've got the sessions pay per you can fudge the backstage. So it sounds to me you're just running a webinar. When I have people I don't know about, whatever I'm in, I just create breakout rooms, and I put them into a breakout room, and I have a conversation with them, and I bring them back. So I completely understand where Ray's coming from, and I think he's intelligently looking at a pathway to add more features and make the thing more secure. But I think he's getting a bit too carried away with jumping too far. And I think, to be honest, it would be interesting to play with webinar first, because you can do most of the things that you've asked for now, and then consider whether you want to go and have a look at events and then sessions. Because we've been in meetings. I can't remember when we've not been in meetings. We haven't really looked at all the other products.
Did this start out as a webinar, Zoom Test Kitchen? I don't remember.
I don't think it's ever been a webinar.
No?
No, I don't think Jeff has ever had it as a webinar.
Okay, so I don't have a webinar license.
Yeah, and that's the reason that I really offered to do this. And because of our recent history with Zoom bombing, I said, well, let's lock it down, and then we can loosen it up as we need. Just an offer, whatever you guys really want to set it as, and I can just create a webinar as well, and we can test it just as a webinar with Backstage.
Or let me just throw one thing out. Maybe we should think about this in steps. This is actually a wonderful exercise to figure out. It seems to me that the first step is not to go to webinars, not to go to events, but it's to just force registration.
Yeah.
Right. That's kind of step one. Step two would be registration plus webinar, or just webinar. Then step three would perhaps be events. I don't know.
And I would say the step after registration would be registration plus authentication.
Well, authentication's already turned on.
Oh, it is. Okay.
I'm pretty
Cool.
sure. Didn't I do that last time? I think I did.
No, but we're not using it, Dave, because we're using your personal PMI.
Oh, it doesn't work for. No, but I thought we figured that out last time. I've lost my mouse again.
If you ask Frank if you can borrow his cat that's in the background or was in the
Okay,
background.
all
you
right,
found
smarty
your-
pants. All right, smarty pants. Just hold on a second. Let me jump in here to our account.
A gaming mouse is on David's wish list on Amazon. If you want to contribute, please do so.
hold
At
on,
the link
right.
below.
That and my self-driving car.
There's a good automation.
What?
Every time someone posts in the chat, you can solicit a donation.
I get my. Yeah, there's a.
That'll
good
get that microphone quicker than your birthday day.
All right, settings. So, authentication. All right. So, right now, only authenticated users can join meeting from web client. Only authenticated meeting participants and webinar attendees can join meetings and webinars. So that's turned on. But the key is that this is not in my PMI.
So go to your meetings tab and go into your
Right.
personal meeting.
Right. It really should say something there, if you ask me.
And then click, you can't do the edit now, can you?
Oh, that's frustrating because I'm in this meeting. Yeah.
Yeah, be careful what details you're sharing on, man.
Yeah. I don't really care. Let me go over. This is a different account, so we can.
You
at least
heard it.
look at
You heard it there first, people. Hack
Yeah.
Dave. He wants to be hacked.
Required
So-
authentication to join is up there. It's under waiting
Yeah,
room. It's
yeah.
part of the security.
Right. So, okay. So, and I don't think I changed that before I started this meeting. I apologize for that. So, let me ask you a question. If I do require authentication to join, all that means that someone has to be logged in to a Zoom
To
account.
a Zoom account. Yes.
Okay. So it's that plus scheduling these so that people have to register for them.
Yeah, and you can schedule it so that you have to register for every meeting, or you can have it so that you only register once and that you're good forever.
Well, I would just do it once, I think.
Yeah, I'm just
Right,
saying
yeah.
there's both options.
All right. So how would if we do how would people feel if after we're done here, I will for next week, we'll do an experiment. I'll turn on authentication and I'll set up and I'll schedule it so that everyone has to sign up, and I'll put a link right on the website. So, the same link
Yeah.
that says join, you can just click on that and
Yeah, that's what I was going to suggest is the join where you have your join Zoom now on the zoomtestkitchen.com
Yep.
website.
Go straight to
Just change that
registration.
to the
Yeah.
to the registration page.
yeah. So let's try that, and then we'll see you next week. And then we can talk about, I think this is really good experimentation in all of these different forms. I really would like to, even if it's just once or twice, I really would like to do this in events, because I think that we will all be able to speak more confidently about the events experience. I never go to, I never run events in Zoom, and I would speak more confidently about it if we did it at least once or twice. So, but let's take baby steps. I think that's a smart.
And David, what I would do too for the email list is also include that
Yeah.
people need to register. Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And David, when you schedule a meeting and you click the registration required, 3 radio buttons come up. And the top one says attendees register once and can attend any of the occurrences. That's the one by
Okay.
default, and we should pick that one.
Another
great.
thing you can do. Oh, sorry, I'm jumping in front.
No,
That's
jump.
all right. Go ahead,
Oh,
Frank.
if you have special guests, let's say you have a guest from a product, like a company or a product, you can make an authentication exemption and you can put their email in there and they won't have to register.
Really?
Yeah.
Uh,
So if you said I've got someone from Shure Microphones coming to talk about the best techniques for using our microphones in a Zoom session, you could just put their email in there and they can bypass the authentication requirement.
Let's actually, you know what? If it's okay, let's do this. This won't be the one because it's on a different account. But I just schedule a meeting. ZTK. Thank you. I forgot to do that. When it'll be for the 23rd from 3 my time to 5 for 2 hours. It's a recurring meeting. We're going to do it weekly on Friday, and end date. How far out can you go? I'm just curious.
December 31st of this year.
Yeah,
Is
make
there-
it easy. But the thing is, the occurrence is limited to 60 total.
60, that was my question. Okay.
Yes.
So we could do the full year.
It used to be 52 and they changed it to 60 and I never found out why.
Because you could schedule it for every Monday of every week, and if the 1st of January was on a Monday, there are 53 Mondays in the year.
All right, sure.
So this is letting me go through October 2025. I'm just going to click that. Why not? 60
Yep.
occurrences.
Yep.
Yep, that's what we got. Attendees, so I could. This is.
Oh,
No, I could. If you all wanted to send me your emails, I could just put your emails in, right?
nope, that's not what this is.
What?
People do not understand what this attendees box is, and I'm actually working with the Zoom
This is the meeting
documentation
chat.
staff to change this. It will put
Wow.
the meeting on your calendar for internal attendees only.
Wow.
It says attendees and everyone looks at it and thinks, if I put the email address and there's a
Right.
number of posts in the Zoom community that says they're not getting the emails. How did you do it? I typed it in the attendees.
Yeah.
Doesn't work that way. Sorry.
Interesting. All right. Required. Attendees register once and can attend any of the occurrences. Attendees need to register for each occurrence. Attendees register once and can choose one or more occurrences to attend. We'll leave the first one. I don't have any templates. Oh, I do actually. I have no idea what they are, so I'm not going to do that. I don't need to add a whiteboard. Security. Only users who have the invite link or passcode can join the meeting.
I would do
You've got
that.
a passcode now, and I would put a passcode to be the same as what you normally do, and it's kind of open to everybody. They can see that.
But let me
Those
ask you a
people
question.
that are registered, it will be embedded in their invitation link, and everyone who's registered gets a unique link. So I typically will do a passcode and the waiting room, and then you can choose whether you want to manually approve everyone who registers or automatically approve everyone who registers. You decide. You still have a waiting room. Everyone has a unique link. People pop up. You let them in or you don't let them in. The nice thing is if you have someone that's, a Zoom bomber or a violator, reporting them is super easy because you've got all their information tracked.
Okay, but I'm a little confused. People have to register. Once they register, they don't need a passcode because they've registered and they have a link. How does a passcode help if everyone has to register?
The passcode is in the link.
Right, but what I'm saying is you can't join without a link that someone sent to you. And the only way to get a link is to register.
It's because registration is separate from security, and security for Zoom meetings requires 2 of the 3, at least one of the 3 things. And I think there's a way for you to, turn off passcode, turn off waiting room, and just do authentication. So these are separate, regardless of whether you've registered or not. In order to get in.
But you can't even get to the meeting if you're not registered. I thought that's the whole point of registration. It says it's registration required.
You won't get a link that is custom to you. It is possible for some people to get into the meeting, I believe, haven't tested this in a while, but I think if they had the regular meeting join link without a registration, no, it takes them to the registration page. Yeah, you're right.
If you require registration and you require a passcode, what that does is it minimizes the opportunity of people sharing their link all over creation and having 50 people joining a Zoom meeting using the same link, which the scenario before where someone spoofs themselves as Ray or another Ray or this Ray, even though they're not a Ray, that's what this eliminates.
But I don't understand that. Forgive me for being a little dense here. If whether or not I embed the passcode in the link, if I share the link, anyone can get in.
No, because if you uncheck the option multiple devices, then the minute that link is used, it's locked out from someone else using it again.
Well, wait, where's multiple devices? I don't see that anywhere.
You want to save the meeting first, and then you'll see the registration at the top.
Okay,
of the screen.
but again, that has nothing to do with passcode. Multiple devices just means whoever gets there first gets in. I'm still struggling to understand why I understand waiting room. You may not want everyone to come in right away. And I understand require authentication to join. They can't just sign the form without a Zoom account. I don't understand the value of passcode when you can only get in through registration, and that's a link. If you send the link out, no one needs a passcode. I don't understand that.
They haven't made the programming such that having registration suffices for having a passcode. The only reason you really need a passcode, David, is if at some point you really did want to turn off the waiting room. Because you can't turn off the waiting room.
If you share the meeting number, that's when you need the passcode. So if you share the meeting number, then you don't get in without the passcode.
No.
Because you can connect by just putting in the meeting number.
Yeah, if you go to zoom.us, join meeting, enter meeting number 1234567 or whatever this is, then it prompts you for a passcode.
But if registration is required, then you can't get into a meeting with just the number.
You are absolutely correct, David. That's my understanding as well.
You can't get in. I mean, we could try it, right? Let's try it. ZK test. Let me change this to today. What is today? It's the 16th, and it is 4:24. So we're going to start this at 4:30.
Well, you don't need the exact time, do you, to get into a meeting?
No. Okay, whatever. We'll just leave that. Let me just turn this off. Registration is required. Generate automatically. I'm going to turn passcode off. Waiting room, require authentication. And let me save. Okay. So now I'm going to put this link in the chat.
It's a registration link.
Yes, sir.
No, you don't need that. We just type the number in.
There is no number.
Sure there is. The meeting ID.
Yeah, the meeting ID.
Oh, I'm sorry. The meeting ID up here. Right. I'm sorry.
If you click on the registration tab, double check to see if you're automatically approving or manually approving.
Okay, so I am in sorry, I have to translate for you, ZTK test, and I'm in the waiting room on my iPad.
What? Mm-hmm. Then what the hell's the point of registration?
Click on the registration tab.
I'm sorry, I'm a little dense here. I'm so confused.
And double check your...
But I don't, for what it's worth, iPad Apple. Who's iPad Apple?
That's me.
John.
Son of a gun. Okay. Now wait, you want me to click on what?
Go to the top of your screen.
Registration.
Just make sure I can be admitted and you don't do any other security tests.
And then if you, under edit, that's where you change whether you automatically approve.
Yep. You're in now.
I'm in and I just use the number.
Wow. When participants submit registration, automatically approve, manually approve.
And if you choose manually approve, you'll get an email every time someone registers. And then you have to go in and you manually approve them, yes or no. And then you can decide whether every time someone...
But here's the thing. Who cares if they don't need to? We just went through this whole thing about registration required, and it's not required at all.
Because
in any
you
way.
don't have a passcode.
No. I'm not accepting that. If I say registration is required, then you should not be able to enter my meeting without registering. Now, I completely understand that if you register and you get a link and then you share that link, then multiple people could come in. But the idea that you could just take the number and enter, that doesn't make any sense.
But what if you're a Zoom room or one of these devices?
What do you mean?
So, back in the SIP days, and if you're a Zoom room where you're a device that's coming in and all you do is enter in the meeting ID, I want to go to this meeting, and then you connect unless there's a passcode, and then it'll prompt you what is the passcode, and then you would type that in on the keypad. These conference devices that, they're not a computer, they're a glorified Crestron touchscreen and a monitor.
Well, there's a codec. That's a computer.
So now I'm going to be honest with you. Now, there's no value in it. No, I'm sorry. Ray Harwood has been right all along. I just need to learn to listen to Ray, because there is no connection between registration and security. That's the bottom line here. Registration is great for collecting emails, for knowing who's coming, who's not coming, for having a list of participants. It does nothing for security. That's the bottom line.
Webinars.
And the reality is that I just registered and it said, oh, it's in progress, and I clicked the link and it wanted to open up a new thing and I didn't. But I got the email, and I have the email which has the entire string, but it has the meeting ID embedded in the string, which I could hand over to that shady guy Robert and say, hey Robert, why don't you sneak in, just use the join button and type in the meeting ID and change your display name to Frank and come in as Frank.
Yeah.
So it's like it's like the old days, David, when you could leave your door unlocked and only bad people would come through the door, and you lived in a town where everybody knew everybody, and if somebody bad came in, everybody knew who it was.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure that there's, for safety purposes, again, I'm not sure there's any value to forcing people to. I think there's definitely value to require authentication, and to using all three of these: passcode, waiting room, and require authentication. I think those are the three security features that we have available to us, unless we want to try, which again, I think we should try all of it, unless we want to try webinar and then events. I think that's the bottom line. Events, I don't think you can kind of bypass registering for a Zoom event at all. I mean, that
if the event creator checks the box that says, I don't care, I just want people to be able to come in with a link, and you can create a link and they can get in. You have to basically say, no, I want the Wild West. Let people, let anybody in that wants to come in. And very often, I think corporations will do that, and lock it down so that people have to be authenticated with a specific single sign-on. You can do that. There are additions to that require authentication that could require them to be from a particular, not only authenticated, but with an email address that is in a particular domain and so forth, so that you could restrict it that way. Let anybody come in that is in a ttgproductions.com email address.
okay.
But I must admit that I'm flabbergasted. I really didn't know that there was no limitation when you turn on registration, authentication, and use a password, that anyone can get in without registering.
Jason, you did have your hand up, by the way. Did we answer your question?
That was whether David was going to do automatically approve everyone or manually approve everyone. We did cover that part.
Well, one
That
thing
just, sorry, go ahead.
one thing that registration does is you have to come to the meeting with the email account that you registered with.
No, that's not true.
No, you don't.
It's in all the
That's not true.
documentation.
If you find it in the documentation is wrong.
All right.
Yeah.
That's how people send links to somebody else because they're registered. They do that with panelist links as well
Okay.
in webinars.
But if you turn off, go ahead, John.
Can I give you my definition of what registration means? It means you have a registered account with Zoom. Not you, not your company, not your sub-account. It's registration with Zoom. My iPad has a basic account with Zoom, and I believe that's why it gets in.
That's only on the require authentication. Registration is a form. It's a web form. You put in the basics are first name and email address. You can customize the registration form to ask additional questions such as last name, such as organization, zip code, etc., etc.
And what most people do is they do not tick the button. So if you try and join an event within 1 hour of it starting,
you get the join button at the bottom.
You get the join button, and you can join whatever you put on the form.
Correct. And so then
Please don't enable that.
So you uncheck that option. You also typically you uncheck join from multiple devices so that there's only one person with the one link that can log in at a time, which also prohibits panelist link sharing, because if the panelist is already in the room, then another person using that panelist link will not be able to join. And then you decide if you want to automatically authenticate, blah, blah, blah. But when you turn on all those options, the nice thing is, one, you get a list of who you expect to come and whatever information you've asked of them. Two, the waiting room, and then that should match up with the list of people that you're expecting to come. And if you uncheck join from multiple devices, then it's one person with one link in the room at a time. You can't have 2 Roberts show up and 3 Davids show up, etc., etc.
So thank you, Frank. He just sent in the chat some information about registration. So join link will no longer be. So they did take away the join link from the confirmation page. You'll get the join link through the Zoom registration confirmation email. This change will help prevent attackers from obtaining the registration link using an email address they do not personally control, and limit unwanted guests from joining meetings and webinars. Yeah, but yeah, I really think that my key takeaway from this is that there's a divide between registration and security, which is fine. Like, that's okay. It's not.
You have to be aware.
Right. I don't like the fact that it says registration required, because that, to me at least, says something different. But I mean, it even says here, when you read it, registrants must provide their email and name to register for the event, not to attend the event. It's interesting, right? There you go. You can capture more information. You can manage registrations, send confirmation, generate meeting registration reports. None of what it says here is this will lock down your meeting. So, in fairness to Zoom.
Well, if we could have someone from, I don't know, whether it would be the development team or trust and security or just someone, to come in and explain to us Do they think this is a deficiency? Does Zoom think this is a deficiency? Are they willing to expend some energy to shore that up? Do they think that will make it more complicated for people who don't have accounts and that sort of thing? I think this is one of those areas, and I don't get off on this little soapbox very often, but where Zoom really isn't as transparent about what the pros and cons and the pitfalls and joys of doing various approaches really is. There is nothing here that says just because you require registration doesn't mean that they have to register. If they're smart enough, and that's what we're dealing with here, is we're dealing with people who are smart enough to go, I don't have to do all of that stuff. I can get in through the back door. And you have that at physical venues as well.
But remember, the original problem they were solving to was connectivity, because there were other products out there that are more locked down. And the problem that Zoom was solving to is anyone can join anytime, hassle-free, platform agnostic, device agnostic. So that was their ethos from the beginning.
And there are many people who still want that, who still go, I don't really want registration. I'm having a meeting with me and my buddies, and I've only given this out to my buddies. And if somebody else shows up, we'll lock the meeting down and we'll take care of it. But for people who do this for a living or do it for a vocation to be helpful to the community, sometimes we don't want the bad guys to come in, and we have to take steps to keep them at bay.
I want to get Robert in. I just want to, there is another piece of this, which is what might happen, or how might registration affect security when you pair registration with only authenticated users.
So what the outlier is, David, is that someone like John Drinkwater could come in not registered and put something in, but we have his email address. The email address would be in the export file that has a list of all the attendees. We know which account he came in from, and Zoom Trust and Safety team can go hunt him down and
Right. Yeah. Robert, go ahead, please.
I'm going to throw a spanner in the works here. I think there is a difference in behavior with registration for a meeting as compared to a webinar, because I am using webinars for paid events, and I can guarantee that only the person who registers and gets the link can get into that event. If they share the link, and I've set the option for the link to be used by only one device during the webinar, no one else will get in. And if they try and put in the meeting code or the meeting number and the password, they'll be thrown back to the registration page. And I'm 100% sure about that in terms of webinar. So my I guess what I'm saying is, I think the meetings, and I didn't realize this is something new for me, the meetings behave differently than the webinars. I can see people shaking their heads because I've never seen this. This was something totally amazingly new for me. And then I realized that I'm mainly doing this on webinars and not on meetings.
In some ways, it's interesting. Yeah, webinars are more secure for me, John says. But what's interesting about webinars is that in some ways, it's less important to lock down webinars, because in webinars, the only way that people can be disruptive is through chat.
Well,
am I wrong about that?
Except in Robert's case, where you've got paid webinars, or anybody's case, you got paid webinars. It's not the disruption. The fact that you were in and didn't get paid is the disruption.
Yeah. No, fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah, also, to your question, David, you're right. If folks are joining in listen-only mode as an attendee in webinar. But yes, the registration process is different, webinar versus meeting, because in webinar, for example, you can track attendance. Everyone has a unique link. did the person register? Yes or no. Did the person who registered attend? Yes or no. If they did attend, time, date, stamp. If not attend, then they appeared elsewhere in the list as a non-attend. You cannot do that in meetings, for example.
Frank,
and
you've been
David,
trying
if
to
you just go back,
give me 1 second. It's what Frank's been desperately trying to jump in here.
Not desperately. I was just gonna say the other place you potentially could be disruptive is in Q&A.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, Robert.
if I'm looking at the Zoom support page that you were looking at just now, David, and I'll tell you what's really interesting is that under registration, how to customize registration options, point number 6, it actually says there automatically approve means to automatically approve registrants. Only those who are registrants who are approved will receive information how to join the webinar. Suddenly meeting disappears and webinar appears. Yeah?
Wait a second.
Which
Where are you? That's fascinating.
Yeah, it's.
Oh my goodness! I think I see it here. So when participants submit registration, automatically approve. Where's my mouse? Registrants will automatically receive information on how to join the webinar. Manually approve, the organizer must approve registration before they receive information on how to join the webinar. Any registration still pending will not be able to join the meeting.
Right.
That's interesting.
Well, and step 2 says in the navigation menu, click meetings. So clearly, what's the overall title of this entire article? Does it?
Scheduling and customizing a meeting with
registration. So the webinar thing's a cut and paste error that someone hasn't taken care of.
Yeah.
So it may be an error, but that's what made me think there is a difference. Yeah. It's a telling error. There is a difference in behavior between webinars and meetings when it comes to registration and authentication. Ooh, I feel better now.
I think there's also a clue there that if you automatically approve everybody, you're more interested in getting their contact details. If you have to manually approve them, you're more interested in security. If you're just going to auto approve every email, you're not parsing them. You're just saying, as long as you give me an email address, you're in. Whereas if you manually vet them and say, I don't know that person, or whatever, especially if you ask custom registration questions, not too many hackers are going to fill those out.
Oh, sure they will.
That's a good point, Frank. But I'll give you a different use case where we use the automatic approve. When we create registration forms outside of Zoom, and then we send the data across. So you need to have it automatically approved so that you get the link coming back, so you can put it back and put it into the email that you send out.
Well, I think Ray's right. You're right. I mean, but every hurdle you put makes it less interesting for someone who's trying to.
Yeah.
Like how much will they go through to get in when there's way less secure meetings somewhere else? What we do is we require people from a specified domain. And if you're not from the specified domain, then the host has to give you a registration or a authentication exemption. But that's pretty onerous.
And it makes perfect sense in Frank's situation because a lot of people are coming from the same domain. But yeah, if you have an outside panelist or an outside person that is to join the meeting, in Frank's case, outside the university, then of course that makes sense.
And that's the way Teams operates by default, is everyone inside the firewall and yes, and everyone outside the firewall, no. And you have to go through hoops and hoops and hoops to get someone from the outside to come in. Zoom is the opposite. Everybody can come unless you lock it down.
And we actually do that in a different way because we use Teams quite a lot in our environment. We asked our clients to create functional email accounts that they give us with a one-time password.
That way you're viewed as inside the firewall?
Correct.
Yeah. Is functional email, I know there's a thing called functional cookies. Is functional email a special kind of email? Like, I'm not familiar with that term. Or do you just mean an email that's real and works?
Yeah, it's an email that is real and works. It's usually interpreter 1, interpreter 2
Okay.
at and the company's name domain.
All right. I thought maybe it was something I hadn't heard of before because I know there's functional cookies.
I don't even know what those are. So
Yeah.
They're very tasty.
Yeah, Robert, I'm and again, I asked this in chat as well, and I think the YouTube audience would love to know your experience when it comes to a WebEx meeting, if there's any differences there as well, since we're talking about Teams here.
let me think about this. In
'Cause
WebEx,
I'm agreeing with you that I'm very shocked about the fact of the security that I've seen today too, when it comes to the Zoom meetings. I'm just wondering on the WebEx platform, if there's any.
WebEx does not behave like Zoom meetings, that's for sure. It behaves more like a webinar. In other words, there is the registration form that you set out and you put people in, or you put people in, import a whole mass of email accounts to authorize people to attend the meeting. So it doesn't have this option of
But which
throw them on
WebEx
the
product
meeting
are you
number.
referring to, Robert? Because you have WebEx webinars, events, meetings, contact center, and support center.
You're so right. Thank you for clarifying that, Jason. I'm referring to meetings.
So meeting, so that in itself is quite a difference for you, just hearing what you heard today regarding the Zoom meetings.
Correct.
Back to you, David.
I'm just curious what I missed that we're now talking about cookies with raisins. What happened?
It's tied to the
I
registration
think this
form.
whole thing goes to hell. All right.
Frank did it. He brought up cookies. No,
we're gonna look at the release notes, but before we do that, hey everyone, Zoomtopia is coming. If you have not registered, go to zoomtopia.com and register. The whole thing is well, for us peons, the whole thing is virtual. Actually, I thought the whole thing is
it is entirely virtual this year. And it's right now save a date, which means that you just put it in.
you don't get the information. Yeah. Does anyone know why it's just
yes, but we don't know if we could give a polite answer to that.
That would be correct.
What's your question, David? Why it's only virtual?
Yeah, I'm just curious.
I'm gathering this from several conversations with several people, but the basic answer is Zoom's taken a little bit of flack for having this big, huge on-site thing when Zoom's bread and butter is virtual.
Interesting.
And I think there's just a push to do that. Now, I had heard, and this is old information by maybe a couple of months, I had heard that certain partners, Zoom partners, are going to be invited to an on-site, potential couple of hybrid sort of things. I don't know whether that's true or not, but you're right that your average everyday Zoom account holder is going to be virtual.
Which is fine with me.
Yeah.
I don't want to leave home anyway. All right. Let's do some release notes. What do you say? And we'll be able to play with this stuff next week. This is due for release on Monday, it looks like. Today's the 16th, right? Yeah, Monday. 6.1.1. What are we on now? 6.1.6, I thought, aren't we?
10, David. 6.1.10 is what it's going to be.
Oh, you have to actually say that other 0 at the end there. But I thought we're on 6.1. Yeah, we are 6.1.6. What happened to 6.1.7, 8, and 9?
Internal use only.
Oh, really? I didn't know that was a thing.
Sometimes you create a new version, and once you create it, you can't reuse that number, and they go, oh no, we can't use that, and they create a new.
Okay. I didn't know that.
There were some updates that they decided not to update, so that's why we sometimes miss numbers.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so you're getting new capacity alerts and live streaming guidance for hosts. Hosts that hold a license for the largest meeting or webinar attendee capacity are made aware when a meeting or webinar is reaching capacity so they can take measures and start live streaming to handle the overflow. Wow, that's smart. When it reaches 80%, you'll receive a prompt to start a live stream. At 100%, another prompt appears notifying hosts that the meeting or webinar is full and suggesting they start a live stream to accommodate additional attendees. So it will only
this
appear
needs
if
to be
you're to
clarified.
start. I'm sorry?
You need to clarify this. This is a message for the host.
Correct.
Because at the moment, if you've set up streaming to not a customized live stream, but it's streaming within Zoom, if someone comes in and the meeting is full, he will get that message. He'll get the link of the URL of the YouTube or whatever it is stream.
Hold on a second.
Out.
If you're in a meeting and you're already live streaming and you reach capacity, then the person who is trying to get in will get a prompt to go watch the live stream.
Yes.
Is what you're saying.
Correct.
And that will
one
continue to
exception
occur.
to that. That is one exception to that, David. That you are not custom live streaming. If you put if you customize the live stream, that message does not appear.
You mean if you use a custom RTMP stream?
Correct. If you link yes, you have to go direct. In other words, you need to give Zoom access to your YouTube account or to your Facebook account or whatever it is, your Twitter account.
By the way, just as an aside, I met again with the developer of the live streaming app this past week and with Andy, and they think that they have sort of cracked the code as to what has been going on there. And so there's going to be an update this coming week. I'm not sure if it'll have all the fixes, but we'll be able to test that next week also. Go ahead.
Sorry, carry on. I was just going to ask, does that information go out if you use the app as well?
I don't know.
To the 101th user who's trying to get in if you have a 100 user license?
Does that information go out?
Does the person who can't enter because you're at capacity get the notification if you're using the app?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. It's an excellent question. I'm not sure. What this is doing, I believe, is this is if you're not live streaming, this is now going to say to you when you get to 80%, hey, you're about to run out of space. You may want to start a live stream now.
That's correct.
Is it?
Well, it says right there, these prompts only appear if the host is allowed to start a live stream and has not started one for the meeting or the webinar.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you've got a 500 license and you get to 400, you'll get a pop-up that says, hey, you might consider starting one.
Okay, I like everything. I now double read everything that Zoom write because you never know exactly the context. When I read that, first of all, I thought this was the Camilla update because it says hosts that hold a license for the largest meeting or webinar attendee capacity. So if you have the largest webinar or attendee capacity, which is 10,000, is it not? Then it applies to that. Does it apply to somebody with a 100 user license? Is this not a Camilla update for 160,000 Pearson webinars?
So, yeah. Hosts that hold a license for the largest meeting or webinar attendee capacity are made aware.
Dun, dun, dun.
So,
or is that on the
I
account?
think what they actually mean is if you have a 500 webinar license, but you set the number of registrants to 400, and you limit the number to 400, you won't get this message. That's sort of the double. If you're holding a license, I think if you're holding a meeting that is at the license capacity, I don't know. Someone needs to clarify.
I read it a third way. So on my account, I have multiple users, and like a webinar 500, we'll have like one license that will pass around to the different producers that might need it for an event, because it's rare that we would do multiple 500s or so. Okay, so here there's a meeting that's going on. It's at 80% capacity. The person that has the webinar 500 license is currently the largest webinar attendee capacity, and they get a notification that says this meeting or other webinar over here is at 80%. Consider starting a live stream if you haven't already.
And I read it a fourth way.
Oh my God.
I have 2 webinar licenses on one of my users. One is 100 and one is 500. Okay. And the way I read this is that it applies to the 500, because if you have 2 licenses on one user, yeah, it doesn't really matter which license you use to start the webinar, because you can only hold one webinar at a time on that as that user.
As that user, okay, right.
So it's taking the capacity of the larger license. That's the way I read it.
This is
David.
fantastic.
Round
If
5.
anybody from Zoom is listening who works there in documentation, you guys need to be more clear with what you're saying.
Yeah.
I think the word we're looking for is articulate. You need to be specific and articulate.
And also everyone in this meeting is available to be part of a paid focus group whenever Zoom wants to contact us.
We are
All in
indeed.
favor?
we are indeed. All right, let's keep going. Some meeting features, pre-attached assets to meetings. So if you have files in advance, you can integrate those assets into sessions.
The part about this that struck me when I read it earlier today was that participants could attach files in advance, not hosts, participants, unless that's also.
They mean panelists.
Yeah, well, language
Not
is
in meeting, you don't have a panelist.
language is
true.
important, right?
Yeah.
Well, you don't, right.
It
talking
says
about
it's a
meetings,
meeting feature.
but then it also uses the word sessions. Integrate meeting assets into sessions. And I'm not sure if they mean sessions or just
Zoom lay off too many people.
Little less sessions is anytime people are gathered via Zoom.
Yeah. Lowercase sessions, right? Yeah, you're right though. Meeting participants to attach files in advance, which that's interesting.
How would that even work? Like, I'm curious to know how that would work. How would a participant attach something in advance? Like, I
wonder if you're using registration, I wonder if maybe there would be an option.
Or if it's the same backdoor functionality as like the chats and the docs and the notes and the whiteboard.
Yeah, I think it is. Mm-hmm.
This next one is really nice for ISO and MIMO and ECAM users who are constantly asking for recording permissions, I think at least. Account owners and admins can give permissions ahead of time to certain meeting participants or domains that they can record to their computers without needing the host to grant these access during the meeting. So if you're using, well, actually, no, I take that back. Sorry. So
Do you know what this means? It means you need to switch on registration. Otherwise, you won't know that I'm going to be at that meeting.
Well, yes, but are you using recording permissions or live streaming permissions?
Recording.
Oh, you are? Okay. So I use live stream permissions. So this doesn't really help me. Sorry, Mike, what did you want to say?
Yeah, no, I was going to say they're talking about recording. They're not talking about live streaming there. Yeah.
Right.
Then I'll throw in, yes, vMix too.
Although maybe live streaming is coming. But if you're running workshops and you have someone else who's who's doing the recording for you, it's nice to have them be able to have access without bothering you. Does not help, John. I assume you mean help recording to the cloud and PC at the same time.
Yeah, there still may be a technical limitation in the way everything's coded that you can't do 2 versions of record or 2 versions of live stream,
right?
Because of the way the software's been developed, and that's why you can't be an admin and enable Zoom to go to cloud, for instance, and then try and do a local recording at the same time.
Right. Robert, I'm curious, why do you use the recording protocol rather than the streaming protocol?
Well, and Mimo Live only has the recording protocol. It doesn't have the streaming protocol.
Really?
Yep. And with the when I use ZoomISO, I prefer not to have the information going out that the event is being live streamed.
Right. That I understand. It's the reason I ask is because it complicates recording in Zoom. When you're using, as John just said, it, you have to start the, what is it? You have to start the cloud recording first, and then you can, or something like that.
You start the local recording first, and then the cloud
Start
recording,
local,
and
yep.
you make sure that you don't make that user who is running ZoomISO a co-host, because he suddenly loses local recording and becomes cloud recording.
Right. Right. Okay. Couple more, and then you guys can continue with this. I'll pass over to you, Mike. Ability to pre-configure upcoming breakout rooms during active breakout sessions. Oh, this is nice. Hosts can pre-configure the next breakout room setup, including assigning participants to specific rooms while the current breakout session is active. This is very nice. This feature enables a smoother transition between breakout sessions, as the next configuration is ready to launch immediately after the current session ends.
This is very useful.
This is very useful. Whenever I send people into breakout rooms, I'm afraid to touch anything that I might close them or whatever. This is very nice.
It'll be interesting to see what the UI is and how do they prevent you from mucking up the current configuration.
Yeah. Yeah. And then our ability as hosts to view presence and contact cards for unattended meeting participants. People who have not joined it. Oh, I guess people who've registered for a meeting but have not joined, you can now hover over them. Oh, because you can see that when you do registration, you can see a list of registrants in the participants panel. And then you can...
There's another place you can see them, which is in the participants panel if they're part of your organization. I can see anyone in my organization in my participants panel and invite them to the meeting. I wonder if you could also hover. Yeah.
Well, doesn't it require tapping the Alt-I in order to bring up the I want to invite someone? Because that's where I see all of my...
I use the caret on the side of participants.
What do you mean the caret on the side of
the up arrow? There's up chevron.
Invite.
It allows me to see everyone in my organization.
That's the Alt-I. Yeah.
I don't use Alt-I, but yeah, okay.
Well, okay, so you're actually going to the menu, and I ignore the menu in Alt-I.
Yeah, we just do it two different ways.
So it's not in your it's not in your participants panel per se. It's like you said, you click on the.
Well, it might be either. I don't know.
Yeah. No. What I meant is you can't access it. So this is my participants panel.
Yeah.
You can't access it from right here. Oh no, you can. You can.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Wait, open that back up. And
wait, I'm going to, but I just want to show. There's the invite button right there.
Yeah,
Click
I do that all the time.
You'll get right to it.
I do that all the time.
Yep.
But I was just going to say hover over, like, I know the feature's not active yet, but I'm thinking maybe next week, if you hovered over one of these names, you'd get their status next week, not this week, because it's not active yet.
Yeah.
But
Well, you can get the status now if you hover over the icon in the participant panel. What they're saying is you should be able to get it here. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll have to see next week.
I think it's part of their contact card, right?
Because this is also talking about people who are not in the meeting. Oh, wait, there. So oh, you know what it was? You have to hover over the image. If you hover over the name, it doesn't come up.
Yes.
But if you put your mouse over the image, it does come up. That's interesting.
No, it doesn't currently show our status, right?
Well, yeah, it does. So this gentleman is offline For you, it says you're in a Zoom meeting.
I have to read that text again then. I'm not sure what
Yeah,
the
so I'm not sure what exactly
new
this is going to
functionality
do.
is.
This allows us to quickly determine if an unattended participant is available or busy. So because this is, I assume, because these are just folks, these aren't even people in my, well, I guess they are. Yeah, these are people in my org. Well, no.
No, they're in your contacts.
Right, they're in my contacts. But this piece here is talking about, I assume, how would you hover over attendees who have not joined a meeting? How do you know who those are?
It says their contact card, so I'm thinking it's like you just demonstrated.
No, but I guess what I'm saying is, if I host a meeting, if I start a meeting, and John doesn't show up, he's
Yeah, I'm an unattended meeting participant
Right.
if I haven't turned
Right,
up.
exactly.
Yeah, so you can
Like,
find out what I'm up to.
the
and
whole
tell me to
world
get
is an
off the phone.
uninvited attendee participant. I'm not
And if
sure.
they're in your contacts, then you hover over John. It says he's available. You click on his name, and he gets a asked to join pop up on his screen via his Zoom. Not
Right,
desktop
I don't have
client,
right
app.
Right. I don't have right here. For people who are available, I don't have the option to invite them.
And if they're unattended, how can they be participants?
I don't know what the word unattended means. That's confusing to me.
They're sitting alone at home and there's nobody there by their side to help them.
Thought it meant their mental health care professionals weren't
They are
tending to them.
unattended.
Terminology, Zoom.
They're
come
wandering
on.
around on their own. Technically, he is correct.
Mom, I want to go on this meeting, please.
Yes. Unattended elder.
Oh my Lord. All right.
Let me in the meeting.
Yeah.
Wait, what was that?
That was John.
That was a hacker.
What?
That was
That's Jim Hacker.
Don't you mess with me. Wait, what did that do anything? Oh no.
we beeped.
David, can I just bring some light into your question?
Yeah.
Because you asked a good question, because your question is correct if you're not using registration. But if you're using registration in a meeting, then you have an invitation list. Yeah? And the host, as far as I remember, has the ability to view that registration list on his list of participants. And that's when he can do it.
Yeah. That's right. I assume this is linked to registration. Yeah.
I will say, when I schedule through Calendly, when I pull it up, the email address of the Calendly invitee is in an uninvited or an invited guest or invited participant thing in the participant window if they have not come in yet. So I wonder if someone is added into that attendee list that we talked about earlier, that maybe there's some special attention given to them if they're uninvited, because those do show up as unattended in the participant list. Yeah.
God, we've found so many little typos and things this week. All right, if you guys want to keep going with the webinar, I have to start my ride home. This was fantastic. So wait, I need to just clarify. For next week, I'm not scheduling anything. I'm not doing registration yet, but I am going to turn on authentication required. So everything will be the same next week, except if you're not authenticated, you won't be able to get in. And then we can take the next step from there.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Just before you leave, does anyone else see David out of sync? That is, Dave's audio is out of sync, or is it just me?
Terrible. Terrible.
No, I may very well be out of sync.
Clap test. Yep.
Yep.
Right. You know what?
Just.
Not much.
Great. Oh,
Sorry,
I
David,
may be
this
out of
is-
sync, but Pete has like an identity crisis going on because I see two of him. So I'm not the only one with issues here.
No,
One's frozen.
actually my Zoom program's been crashing here several times today.
Are
Which
you
program?
Windows or Mac?
Windows.
Windows has 6 pending updates in the background, and I bet you that's causing you some issues.
Be nice when I do my all update that it does it then, but I guess not. Okay.
So, David, thank you very much for hosting, and look, be good to your mouse. And see you next week.
Have fun, guys.
All right. Cool.
And I'm gonna have to drop
I will
off.
continue. Yeah.
I'll see you guys next week. I've got to do some prep for tomorrow morning's meeting.
Yeah,
Good show.
cool, right? Thanks.
Yep.
All
Thanks,
right.
Ray.
We will continue with webinar. Okay, so again, Robert, I think this goes back to what you were talking about as well. So I'll read it here for everybody. Enable or disable watch live stream link for overflow attendees. So again, this might be the infamous, we're going to read it a few different ways. So let me go through it here. Hosts can enable or disable the watch live stream link on the overflow dialog for attendees during a meeting or a webinar session. All right. So
They copied
meeting
and
or
paste
webinar.
error because this is strictly talking about a webinar.
Right. Right. So that's problem number one. All right. So problem number two, when a meeting or webinar reaches capacity, so there we go, copy and paste again, error. Attendees have the option to watch the live stream if the host has enabled this setting. All right. The default setting will be changed to enabled. The default setting will be changed to enabled. All right. So for all us admins out there, so officially when this gets released on, what is it, Monday? That will be enabled by default by the sounds of it, allowing overflow attendees to automatically access the live stream. So if we don't want that functionality, we have to disable it in the admin. Okay, hosts can disable this option if they prefer not to redirect attendees to the live stream. My question would be when? Is that when you set up the meeting or when you're actually in the meeting? This feature provides hosts greater control over the overflow experience for attendees, sure, ensuring that they can participate in a meeting or webinar presentation. Our thoughts, guys and gals? Is that similar to what we were talking about in the meeting information, or did they literally copy and paste that? Or
A lot of that is copied and paste. And your question, Mike, when I think we won't know until we test it, is in the event setup screen in the webinar session or whatever. Session, not session. Lowercase s, not capital S.
Yep.
That's where.
Okay, so in theory, this should only be so
You make
that
the decision before you're in your webinar.
Right. So if you leave that alone, it should quiz you during the webinar. Oh, silence
no,
from
if
the
you,
room. That's good.
so it's enabled by default or will be enabled by default. And if you decide you do not want that default to be enabled, you can turn it off, but you turn it off prior to starting your webinar in the setup screen.
Right. And again, what I'm envisioning too is that the admins will have the choice of this being lockable, meaning that it's either enabled or disabled by default. That was what I was commenting on. Go ahead, Robert.
Yeah, but this is actually an interesting question you've asked, because when you set up a meeting, you don't, and you have your account, your Zoom account associated with YouTube or with workplace for Meta or with Facebook, you don't get the option to switch on live streaming for that specific meeting. It's a blanket. It's like available for all meetings, and you switch it on in the meeting. The host switches it on in the meeting. So it's an
Shakir,
interesting question.
we're talking webinars, and you're saying meetings. I don't know if you mean webinars or if you actually mean meetings.
I was looking at the meetings. I thought we were talking meetings, and they're just copy pasted webinar actually.
This is in the section of webinars, and they did copy and paste the language, but it's in the section of webinars. So supposedly these instructions are regarding Zoom webinars.
Okay, but the same applies in webinars. Yeah? So the question is, when you're in the webinar itself, when the host enables the live streaming, that's probably where he gets the option to switch on or switch off the inform participants that the meeting is full and they can join via YouTube or whatever it is. We have a hand up.
Yeah, go ahead, John.
I raise my hand because I am confused. I thought that if you wanted to live stream to Facebook or YouTube, you had to set up a link to Facebook or YouTube, and you had to put all the codes in, or you had to go through the automatic thing and being authorized. Are you still having to do that? Or is this suggesting that if you've got a YouTube channel that you're connected to, it's going to automatically do all the bits in the background for you? Surely you have to intervene and do the connection between yourself and YouTube. In which case, it doesn't matter if you got a pin, if you got a access or not. If you don't go in and set the connection up, nothing's going to happen. So I'm confused.
Because my understanding is there are two options. One is you've associated the two accounts, the YouTube account and the Zoom account, with each other, and so it'll always send to that YouTube account. Then you've got the custom stream service configuration where you just put an RTMP key in there.
Okay. All right. So that to me is going to be determined, to be tested. There we go. TTT, to be tested. All right. So next one is we'll go on. Anybody else want to offer their comments about that before we continue? Because that is going to be a big one, because a lot of us do.
Before we move on, let me just make sure that I'm tracking the conversation. So I'm currently looking at my Zoom webinar screen. I've created a new Zoom webinar, created the event, saved it, and then under manage that, my last option under the more is where I can configure live streaming. And so come this new release, I should be seeing a toggle button there that is enabled, and I can disable it. Am I tracking that correctly?
And it should relate to being for overflow attendees only, as compared to
yeah, here, let me,
all the time.
So here's
I already have that option.
Here's a webinar that I've created, and here's live streaming, and I can configure it. But if I'm tracking correctly, there should be a button here that basically when webinar has reached capacity, and there's no option here to edit something. So I guess a button will pop up, or maybe I have to configure first and then I get a button.
I already have a checkbox to the left of that, where you've got the X.
Okay. Maybe if I configure, then I would get that option.
I thought the controls would show up in the actual Zoom interface during the session, like during the webinar or meeting. Like not on the web portal, but in the desktop application. That's where I thought it was going to show up. So you could act upon it, like enable it or disable it while you're in the session.
Yeah.
But I'm guessing we'll find out in a week, right?
Yeah, definitely. We're going to find out in a week for sure. That's why I'm saying we're probably going to have to potentially even test this with David maybe just set up an unlisted YouTube account, unlisted YouTube stream that we could actually just play so that we don't interrupt the main YouTube stream, and actually just fire off and see if that would be the type of scenario, again, for meeting. And also, well, this, again, I don't know, it sounds like David doesn't have webinar as of yet. So, but again, we could also test this for meeting too, because that would be impacted as well. Because it sounds like it's going to be a similar feature for meeting and webinars. But again, because of the differences between the two different products, as we learned today, but especially when it comes to the security, this will be interesting how if there will be any differences between the two as well. They could be totally different in the regards of, ideally they should be the same, but in this case it potentially could be quite different. And Frank, in your scenario, when you're in the min, you may have to go into both meeting and webinar section to actually disable this, I would assume, in your case. Yeah.
Normally, I think what we would do is make it unlocked and off by default, and the user has to go to their own account and decide if that's something they want.
Right. Right. So in theory, we are expecting it at the min level, and then the user should then have the capability to enable that in their user account. In theory, that's what we're semi-expecting at this point. Okay. All right. So next, we're improving the consistency. That's good. We like that, Zoom, when you improve consistency and clarity of webinar rescheduled and updated notification emails. Anybody having problems with this? I'll read. Hosts and attendees will receive webinar rescheduled and updated notification emails with a refreshed design. Ooh, right, refreshed, aligning with the updated styles introduced for other webinar emails previously. The new templates maintain the existing email triggers, good, and content. This ensures a cohesive and polished experience across all webinar email communications. Our thoughts?
Sounds like they're
Anybody-
just changing the wording so it's more understandable or clear.
Okay. That's simple. Everybody's in consensus that that one is fairly simple on that one?
Based
If
on the
so-
writing skills of this release notes, I wait to see if they prove themselves.
Again, to be tested or to be determined, right? Got it.
Maybe it was written with their AI companion.
Ah. Yes, and this is how we do not trust AI as of yet. Go ahead, Robert.
I've sorry, I wasn't listening to the last one because I was still on the second last one.
Uh-oh.
But Jason, when I went to the admin of my account, I have the option under webinars to remind users to watch the live stream, to enable that for all of the users that have licenses. So
Okay.
so maybe that's where you're not seeing it and I'm seeing it.
Yeah. Yep. If I go in through the admin account, I would probably see those buttons there. Yep, that makes sense. And if I'm currently holding if a user is currently holding a webinar license, right? Because if you have 10 users and let's say you have 5 webinar license, 5 people are not going to have the option.
All right. All righty. Let's continue. So now we're talking about team chat features. All right. So we'll go over these fairly quickly because I know some of us use some of these features and some don't. Team chat features. Okay. External labeling in team chat. Improved visual labeling will be easier for users to identify channels and group chats that include external participants. So that's good. These chats and channels will display an external tag at the top of the chat window, and the visual indicator in the compose box will be more predominant. Again, let me just ask everybody, are we using team chat a lot, everybody, or not? Go for it, Frank.
It's being used. I don't think everyone uses it, but I was going to ask something about this. Does anyone here use the chat etiquette feature in their account?
Mm-hmm. I do.
Okay, I'm wondering if that would have any impact on what the label could be. If you use a naughty word, will it stop you from using that label in the team chat?
I don't know. That's a good question because when I originally did the chat etiquette, it was for in-meeting chats, not the chat feature available through the Zoom desktop app, the team chat.
Right.
So I don't know. That's a good question.
Mike, do you know what I'm talking about? Chat etiquette?
No, we don't use team chat enough for me to know about that. But
So
yeah,
Zoom has a tool. It's basically a dictionary, and you can define words that are not allowed to be used in Zoom if you have invoke it or activate it. There's a lot of controversy around it because of the nature of what I do. There could be valid use cases for using certain kinds of terms in an academic discussion. So that's also a freedom of expression or academic endeavor kind of thing. So it's
Right.
it's a tricky thing to navigate, saying you can't use certain words in adult conversations.
Right. Makes perfect sense. Makes perfect sense. And again, in Frank's situation, it's a quite a different ballgame because there could be certain words taken out of context in
But I
one
could
way.
see it being used in business cases too. Like, is there ever a good time to say certain words? Like, there's some, certain words we all know that probably don't have any place in any civilized conversation. So, I don't know.
So true. So true.
In the rare case where I have a medical client that might possibly use words appropriately that are on my blacklist, my etiquette list, I can turn that off.
Per meeting or per webinar?
No, you'd have to go in and just say shut it off. And then when you're done, you can turn it back on.
It's all or nothing for the whole global account.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Now, but I'm not using, I have not used etiquette in my EDU license. I've only used it in my corporate license.
See, I could see in elementary school or K to 12, that would make more sense. But when you're in higher education and people are reviewing literature from, Southern US from the 1700s or something, and it's an academic examination of the prose in that book or something, or like if you were reading To Kill a Mockingbird or something, there could be justifications for examining that, whereas in regular society you wouldn't do that, right?
Right.
My experience from the corporate world is I don't have this enabled on my license, but I've produced events on on company licenses where they have it enabled, and you'll suddenly see SH asterisk asterisk T or whatever they want to write. So that if it's needed, people will get around it in the corporate world. But I understand what you're saying about the academic, especially in literature, or with acronyms.
That sounds like that brings up a whole other acronyms will be an interesting sideline to that. All right.
But the list starts off blank. You have to populate the list yourself. So,
right.
You start off with a white sheet. So as you're typing in words, you feel really naughty and filthy as you're typing, or you do what I did and you just, Google a naughty words list and it gives you right away, like 200, and you start with that, copy and paste. And
there's dictionaries you can get for this purpose, like online database dictionaries of them.
Yeah, really cool. Okay, all righty, let me continue. Let's see, we're streamlining our user experience with the min authorized apps in team chat. All right, users can view and interact with the min authorized chat apps without being prompted for permissions. Users can see and click on shortcuts, either / commands or open bot channels for these apps. The app onboarding flow is triggered automatically. After the min authorize the app, users don't have to review permissions requested by the app again. I'm going to pick on Frank on that one because that, from the admin point of view, that one's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of experience with this area. We don't
You guys
spin
don't
off.
authorize many apps,
We
right?
don't. We don't. Yeah. All
So
of
you
our
can
apps have to
imagine if
pass
you,
privacy and security, and a lot of them don't pass privacy and security assessments. So we don't usually turn stuff like this on.
right? But I can imagine the potential nightmare that if you did, what would actually happen
Well, I
with
mean,
this.
if you own your own account and you're a single individual, you can do whatever you want, right? Like, but when you're part of a big organization, you approach it from a different perspective, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Any other comments before I continue? Or is that, oh, yeah, Johnny
There
Van?
is granularity in the new apps, so you can limit what the access is. So an admin will know exactly what functions are available in that app or being used in that app. In that case, I can see that it's okay to give the user less of an interaction with that app when you have the rules already set out. The only thing it doesn't draw attention to is you can have optional features in an app so that as an admin, you can decide, okay, I'll accept the app because it uses these pieces of information, but I'll disallow the optional information. So I'm assuming by this that that decision will then pass down to the user, and the user won't be able to opt in or opt out to optional information. Maybe the app doesn't need to know your email address. So that's an optional, for convenience, thing the app wants to have, and the admin may decide to not allow that.
Right. And again, that would be based on the individual admin for that account, not at the app level. John.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Cool. Anyone else? Going once? All right. Enhancements to search and add members in chats and channels. All right. Users can easily add new members to a chat or channel by searching for them in the view member modal. The search results display both existing members and non-members with an add button next to non-members. Users can click the add button to add a non-member to the channel. The added member then appears in the member list. This streamlines the process of building effective communication channels and fostering collaboration, there is a good, interesting word on a Friday, within the team. Our thoughts? That one's a eh. That one's a good to have. Never had a
Seems
problem with
okay.
it.
It seems like a convenience thing. Some organizations, and I've had some experience with there's concerns about privacy if you're part of a large group and you can search for anybody in their organization. You can also do this in like email, like in Outlook or something. You might find your whole global directory. Some people have expressed concerns that should you be able to do this, should be able to find anybody this way. Again, privacy and security considerations, but on the face of it, just seems like a convenience thing, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Sounds good to me on that. Anybody else? All right. The next one is for mobile. Enhancements to GIFs, however you want to say it, display on mobile. Users can access daily trending GIFs or GIFs, depending on how you want to say it, when opening the GIF panel in Team Chat. The GIF panel features an updated layout with a waterfall style grid that adapts to light and dark mode. Good? Bad?
If you allow it, good. I guess it'll be nicer, but I don't know if you know this, but and I say GIFs, so don't get upset if you don't like the way I say it. In Zoom, there's a GIF rating system, sort of like PG and adult in that, and you can restrict GIFs to sort of like movies. So if you're in elementary school, you may say that certain kind of and Zoom will block those kind of things if you don't manually put one in, like by control paste or something. But anyways, just A lot of people don't know that.
Mm-hmm. Very cool. Again, I'm not, we're not a big team chat user at the company, so that I cannot offer anything into this. Anybody else before I continue? Going once. Continuing. All right. All right. So this next one, pin Zoom Docs, our infamous Zoom Docs, to team chat channel tabs. Team chat users can now pin existing or create new Zoom Docs directly within a channel tab. Once pinned, the doc is accessible to all channel members and can be viewed in split view mode alongside the chat. Pinning a doc follows the same user permissions as adding channel tabs. This feature enhances productivity by enabling teams to seamlessly reference and work on documents together within their chat conversations. Again, are we using Zoom Docs a lot? Have we used it since it's been updated?
We're
So-
not going to deploy it until there's functionality to make Zoom Docs portable, like download them, export them. But you know, it makes sense if you're into using it, then it makes sense that you'd be able to, you know, pin these things in your team chats, channels, whatever.
Right. Anybody else? Anybody else? Oh, Roland's here. Roland, our friend from Jamaica is joining us. Excellent. All right, we will continue. So that's a good thing that they're adding Zoom Docs capability. But again, I'm very much like you, Frank, when it comes to the Zoom Docs, unless it's going to be more word-ish, and I'll use that terminology loosely, that where we can do exactly what Frank was talking about. Yeah, we probably won't be using it over here at our company either. All right. And next, the ability to hyperlink URLs in the compose box. Users can now hyperlink URLs seamlessly while composing messages in team chat. Interesting that that wasn't there before. Pasted and typed URLs are automatically hyperlinked in the compose box, eliminating the need to manually format links after sending the message. Additionally, users have the option to customize the hyperlink text through the hyperlink modal, which pre-populates the text to display field with the original URL for convenience. This enhancement enhances the messaging experience by simplifying link sharing and formatting. So is it only me, but I'm actually shocked that they haven't had this capability up till now?
Seems that it's at a very low level of maturity. That's why things we take for granted because we've been using Google Docs or Microsoft packages. We sort of assume they're there, and suddenly realize they weren't there.
Yeah, because I would almost think that it would be easy to copy a link from somewhere and paste it in chat, and it should just be there. That's a little shocking to me, to be quite honest. But Zoom is doing an awesome job of shocking us today. Yes, they have. All right. Moving on to, before I leave that, go ahead, Robert.
I was just going to say, maybe we're reading the notes and understanding them for the first time. That's why we're so shocked.
Very well could be. You know, we're holding you, Zoom. And again, going back to Jason's comment, stop using AI for these release notes. All right. So the next section, mail and calendar features. Okay, so auto reply drafting of email conversations using the email compose and AI companion. All right. Yes, I was just talking about your AI companion. Now you're showing up again. Cool. Users can have email replies automatically drafted for them. When replying to an email, the AI companion analyzes the full text of the previous messages in the conversation and generates a draft reply. This allows users to quickly review and send responses without manually providing context. The auto reply drafting enhances productivity by saving time spent composing replies. And from a security point of view, you heard me humming and hawing as I was reading that with concerns already. I open it up to everybody. Go ahead.
I actually use an AI tool to to generate good messages when I'm struggling with them. But I find it a little bit scary when the message is generated automatically for me based on what's been read from an email. And then I have to sit there, and maybe I'm just old school, but I sit there and analyze if it's actually saying what I want it to say. And in that way, it's not saving me time. I find it very easy to just write in a draft and ask it to make a better job of my draft, which it usually does, than to do it to sit there and analyze what it's already written. But maybe it's just the way I've been thinking for so many years that works for me.
I feel like
Yeah,
they're just trying to parity with the other mail clients. I mean, Microsoft Copilot, and AI is going to be in all the mail platforms, right?
Yeah, that makes sense. But I'm very much like you are, Robert, where it's like, I want to draft it, AI, make it nice and pretty, make it actually sound like a human being instead of a robot, or vice versa. So yeah, I'm with you on that. And again, Frank's right as well, where it comes to eventually, yes, every email client out there, no matter the platform, I'm expecting it in Gmail very soon, even though it's officially still not there for me anyways, at least for our company at this point, but that doesn't mean it's not coming soon. But it will scare me when I see it the first few times.
I think when it comes to speed or accuracy, which do you prefer? Because you can't have both with AI.
Fair, Jason. Very fair. You're right.
And if I am sending out messages from my account, giving directives or opinions or whatever, and then you have public disclosure. I mean, what about Boeing? What about General Motors with the incidents that they've had recently? And you have AI posing on the behalf of an engineer generating an email. No, thank you.
Right. Yeah. No, there again, this group here, we're all a bunch of security heads too, in the regards of we want to make sure everything is secure, especially our meetings, webinars, sessions, and events, of course, going all the way down the train. But yeah, John, you wanted to input something too?
Oh, I'm sorry. I just think this is a great idea. When they've got all these AI bots going to send me spam emails into my from marketing. It'd be great to have an AI to respond to them and carry on the conversation, and I can keep out of it.
Logic is coming out of John. See, it's not too late there on a Friday, and then almost Saturday on John's level. But he's right. Yes, we definitely want to make sure that our spammers are feeling very, happy, replied to. They get the warm and fuzzy that we actually replied. Yeah, that's very nice.
When your AI and my AI do all the work all day long, we can go golfing.
It must be 5 o'clock somewhere. Right. Hey, look at that. I'm looking at our clock.
Frank,
it is. Look at that.
Frank, define work.
Definitions, Robert. So true. So true. All right. Back we go. As David says, as we're going. All right, here we go. So now we're going to add the focus time to scheduling interface. And again, this is in the mail and calendar. Interesting. Again, probably some scenario. When scheduling an event, users can select focus time as an event type.
Do any of you all use the mail or calendar feature?
I've associated my calendar with my accounts.
But you don't use Zmail?
No.
And you don't use Zoom Phone?
No.
Yeah, that's what this is for.
Okay. So again, it is basically within the Zoom workplace, I guess.
Universal communications platform.
Right. So this
other
is
calendars have focus time, so they're just getting it too. I mean, making the product more mature, I guess.
So yeah, so this is on that infamous should have been there already, we're used to it being there already, right? So now it's specific, but again, as Jason's bringing up, it's more specific to make sure that you're not getting a Zoom call through Zoom Phone or an actual another meeting because you're in something else within the Zoom infrastructure. But again, it would be nice if they can get our focus time from, in our case, Google and the G Suite. If they can get the focus time, if they can do their own focus time through Gmail, it'd be nice if they can do it through Gmail. So that would be nice too, if they can do that. But I don't think that will be with this. But that would be nice if they did. All right. Improvements to the mail client, user interface and experience. Again, as Frank was saying, probably just maturing. Let's read. Users can drag and drop labels in the label list and search for specific labels. Good. They can also use both vertical and horizontal split views for their preferred inbox layout. We'll talk about that in a second. The schedule send button has been merged into the send button with a drop-down menu aligning with other mainstream mail clients. Oh, aligning with the other mainstream mail clients and cleaning up the bottom toolbar. Is this just aligning, as they say, with other mainstream mail clients, or do we like this or don't like this?
That's an interesting statement that they're aligning with other. That's sort of the majority of these points are aligning with other mainstream apps. So
as they're trying to get more users to migrate over to Zoom Phone, Zoom Mail, Zoom Calendar, and folks are saying, but I already use, so why should I, what's the benefit of, what's the incentive to go to Zoom stuff?
And then there's the other side of the coin, which says the learning curve is so high that I don't want to move. And then at this point, they say it's all the same, exactly the same layouts, exactly the same buttons. I can understand their logic, but I've got the Microsoft package of docs. I've used Google. I have enough. I can hardly remember what I wrote where. And I just don't want to introduce a third package.
I always think of maybe a small company doesn't have Google or Microsoft yet, and they're out shopping and they want Zoom, and you get all this other stuff if you get the right Zoom package, but people will quickly become tired of using it if it's so feature poor that you can't do the things you're traditionally used to doing in other mail clients. So I guess when you build a mail client from scratch, you have to write these things in each time you do a revision, right? Or as the product progresses. So I guess they're just saying, we're getting there, but big deal, right? That you can do that.
I mean, I understand that we're getting there because they've got such a good core product and now they're working on others, so they're getting there. But the other thing that scares me about moving across, for example, giving up Google Docs and moving to Zoom Docs, is that even with Zoom Docs, when I share documents with people, they either want it as a Zoom doc, or either they don't. Sorry, they either want it as a Google Doc, or they don't have a Google account. There are all sorts of different situations that you come at, and now we're adding another layer onto that, which sort of scares me from my personal work.
Fair point, Robert. Fair point. Because again, layers are not good. That's right. Layers are definitely not good. Anybody else? And then the next question would be, how many of us, especially in YouTube world, use Zoom Phone? Because the next features that are talking about it already. John, give us a little bit of history on that. And go ahead, Pete.
Is that like a Skype phone where you get a number?
Good question. So Skype is in itself is two things. So if you wanted to really to compare Skype with Zoom products, Skype would be the equivalent of Zoom Chat and Zoom Phone, because Skype is officially both, right? And it's also got a little bit of, I won't go down the road of saying Zoom meeting, but it's more of Zoom video. It would be more of, you could do one-to-many in Skype, but it's not as simple as setting up a meeting, right? in the Skype world.
I don't know. I don't think
So,
Skype does IP telephony though, does it?
yeah. Yeah.
No, but I mean like for corporations
Yes.
and stuff where you have like
Um,
5,000 extensions and stuff. I don't
oh,
think
I don't know about
it's not
that.
like Mitel or something, right? Like
I have a
Right.
Skype number that I use when I'm like in Europe.
yeah. But
So
what Zoom is doing is they're trying to compete with the other IP-based telephone systems where organizations are their whole phone system is instead of POTS, it's IP based, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So to give you a little bit of the technology in Skype, yes, they're using VoIP. But you're right, Frank, they're not set up to be corporate extensions of, press 100 to go to this person, press 200 to go to that person. No, they're not, they don't go that far, but they are using the VoIP technology. They've moved away from POTS and they've
Yeah,
actually
but
used
it's one-to-one. It's not like an exchange like a central telephone exchange system where you've got voicemail and all the features that you can program into modern telephone systems now, like you said, like call forwarding and
they have the
phone
basics.
trees and all those sort of things, right?
Yeah, no, not going on advanced features. No, general features, yes. Voicemail, yes. Again, we've gotten away from them, but voicemail, yes. You could have it redirected to your cell phone. You could actually have it where the voicemail actually sends to your email. So the very, very, very basics of VoIP, yes. But again, that's coming from the POTS world. A lot of the basic stuff that you could do in the POTS world, minus having, the setting up an actual physical exchange, as you were saying, type of infrastructure where you actually have a, for lack of a terminology, telephone server that actually builds, so allows it to be rerouted, and you have 10, 20, 30 phones in the corporation all going through this one situation. No, it's not like that. It's still one-to-one, very much like you were saying, Frank, but it does have the basics of an old school, let's call it more residential type of phone package as compared to a corporate one. Pete, anything else before we continue? Is that good?
If we can just ask John, John, do you like using your Zoom phone?
Oh, yeah, go ahead, John.
I have difficulty getting people to use it because in the small business space, everybody lives on a mobile. But yes, it is a telephone system. I used to use something called 3CX, which many people may know, which is an IP telephone exchange. It's a software telephone exchange. I have no need for such a thing now. And because it's floating around with my login, wherever I log in, I can take telephone calls just like I can take meetings and other things. So and if you think of the other products they've got, like Zoom Contact Center, it's a very good component to have in the mix as far as Zoom's is concerned, that you've got the whole telephone system fitting in with Contact Center, and at a corporate level, that's a good sell.
John, for my sake, because we are looking, well, I've looked into 3CX and quite hip on their technology. I'm curious, are you missing anything now that you moved to Zoom Phone from 3CX?
I don't think so. I think feature-wise, it's all there, and it's more integrated. The great problem with 3CX was the telephone system was on its own. So although it was IP based, it was just a physical telephone. The idea to have a telephone now, and just trying to look around. Oh no, I haven't got it here. So if you've got one of the hardware phones, IP phones, like I don't know, I was going to say Grandstream. Yeah, I wanted to. Others are available. Then a lot of the more advanced versions of those now don't just have a handset and a screen, but you can literally do a call and then you can click the Zoom button and go into a Zoom one-to-one meeting, a video call, using the same technology. So the fact that they work together makes it very good. It's a wonder of mine how long it's going to take before there's a Zoom app more integrated into a mobile phone than just an app, shall we say.
Okay, so you're actually you're saying more like a VoIP app oriented Zoom product. Is that where you're going with that, John? Or no?
There could be a time when you would want your mobile phone to be creating and receiving your calls through your Zoom app in preference to receiving calls through its normal mobile number.
Right. Yeah. And again, we've actually, with the current service that we do have the capability of using their app, and it's bringing the calls in that way already, as if we were in front of the desk using the desk phone. And then if we want to, we could actually just do a warm handoff from the mobile app onto the desk phone. So is Zoom got all of that, by the way, just for my sake, because of my curiosity?
I haven't found anything lacking on it. One of the jobs I've got to do, which I keep putting off, is going to write a Zoom API link to my CRM. So when a call comes in, and it's possible, I just need to do it. When a call comes in through my Zoom phone, I can use an IP API call and bring up the contact details of the person who's calling me.
Uh-huh. Very cool. So for my sake, John, I'll be definitely chatting with you offline on this a little more because that's interesting. So besides John using Zoom phone, and I don't know if anybody else is, I'm wondering if there's a consensus that we can skip the Zoom features and then maybe go on to the next section, which would be Zoom clips. But just for John's quick sake, we'll mention that enhancements to caching recordings and voicemails is now being added. Enhancements to voicemail greeting management for common area phones. And that is for just the phones themselves for iOS and Android. So that's interesting. So star 86, good old star 86 from VoIP. So they're implementing that into their system. And also, let me just show everybody quickly. Sorry, I didn't realize that. Enhancements to initiating two-leg server-side calls for landlines. Okay, yeah, I'm going to read this one a little bit here. So users can initiate a two-way call to connect to a landline number when they have a poor Wi-Fi connection. Okay. They can specify a landline number as a call me on number and receive a verification call from Zoom. During the verification call, users are prompted to press 1 to confirm the number. If not confirmed, Zoom informs users that the number failed verification. After confirmation, Zoom connects the first call to the user's landline and the second call to the destination number. This feature helps users with poor Wi-Fi make outbound calls. This feature must be enabled by Zoom, not by default. John, what are your thoughts on that one quickly before we continue?
That sounds to me like Zoom has had some complaints issues in corporates about poor Wi-Fi, and they've come up with a really neat way around it. I like it.
So it's basically, from my quick understanding of reading it, is Zoom is starting to understand that there might be a bit of network issue because you're doing it over Wi-Fi, and then it basically will do a pop-up within the Zoom app, and I'll use that term loosely, that will say that would you like to transfer this to a landline? Is
Yeah,
that what I'm envisioning?
home workers, that sounds a really positive feature for home workers. You've got a home worker in a bad Wi-Fi spot. They're using their laptop in a different room because the kids are away on got school holidays, and suddenly they've got no Wi-Fi and they can't do their work. Redirect to their physical landline in their house. Great idea.
Yep. Anybody else?
Until the kids answer it, of course.
Of course. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, good point on that last one. Yeah, heaven forbid, all of a sudden, hello. Yeah, that would be very, very hilarious. Yeah, go ahead, Frank.
Just quickly, a thought about this. Not that I'm an expert, but when you have IP-based phone systems and you're in like hospitals and other places, there has to be a disaster fallover. Because normally the phone system, at least in North America, has an independent power supply. Even if your power goes out in your house, your phone gets its power from a different through the transmission cables. So when you deal with that sort of thing, especially for organizations. Like if there's fire or flood or famine or whatever, earthquake, it has to, like, you have to have a way to mitigate that so that you can still call 911 or whatever emergency number is in your country, right?
Very true. Yeah, I agree with John. Actually, excellent example, Frank. Excellent. Okay, so we're going to quickly go ahead, Robert.
Mike, I need to leave. It's midnight at my end, so I'm going to leave you guys. See you next week. Take care. Have a good week, and see what we have in the next set of notes that comes out from Zoom.
Yeah. And Robert, as we love to pick on you about, make sure you update your client before we see you next week. Okay.
Can you tell that I've got an old one?
Can I tell you've got an old one? I guess that would be no. Ah, good one. Good one. David didn't pick on you today about that. That's interesting. I don't know why.
I do have 6.1.5, so I haven't updated recently. So.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know if there's going to, well, again, for your sake, I probably would at least one of your machines, because if we are going to test a live stream based on the meeting and possibly webinar, that probably wouldn't be a bad thing to make sure you're at the latest version of the client, so that you could take advantage of the capability.
And there's supposed to be an events update on Monday, Robert. That might be applicable for you as well. Zoom events outside.
Yeah.
To know. Okay. Thanks very much. Take care, John. Take care, everyone. Bye.
Bye, Robert. Thanks. All right. So quickly, what we'll do, everybody, is go through Zoom clips quickly. And then what I will do, because I don't think that anybody of us, John, and you would have to correct me if I'm wrong, use contact center? No. Yeah. 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 No, we do not here either. So I will, sorry, wrong button. There we go. There we go. All right, here we go. Okay, so yeah, we'll talk quickly about the new Zoom Clips features coming. So here we go. Search functionality for Zoom Clip transcripts. Users have the ability to search through the transcripts of their Zoom Clip recordings. By entering keywords or phrases, users can locate and navigate directly to relevant moments within a clip's transcript. This search functionality enables users to efficiently find and replay specific sections of interest within their recorded Zoom Clips content, enhancing the overall user experience. Good? Bad? Anybody
Fantastic.
still using Zoom Clips? You tested it? Oh, say again, John. Sorry.
Fantastic.
Oh, fantastic. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's keep adding features to Zoom Clips, and then we'll see if people take it on.
And
but the caveat is it takes up storage space, and if you use too many Zoom Clips, you're going to have that problem that actually that smaller users have more than corporates. Let's be honest. Corporates have got a big cloud storage. Normal pro users don't have a very big storage, and therefore when they start storing clips and videos, that starts building up very quickly. But great, because they're trying to find use for Zoom Clips. So the more features they add to it, the more uses it could possibly have. But I like the idea of, I've got a clip on, blue widgets. If I can do a search and find the clip automatically with the AI, that's a good use of AI and transcripts.
Exactly. And on top of that, too, they want to be able to sell more storage, too, from our understanding, John. Yep. All right, here we go. Next. So that's that one. And then we'll talk about restricting comment functionality for guest users. Okay. Guest users cannot leave comments on Zoom Clips recordings. They're required to log into their account before being able to post comments. This measure enhances control of content by preventing unauthenticated individuals, there we go, from commenting on shared clips. Correct me if I'm wrong. Did we tested that a while ago when we were actually doing a lot of Zoom Clips, I think, with David. Am I right? Am I wrong? Okay. Maybe. I think what we were concerned about was the fact that anonymous people could leave the comment before. Right. Go ahead, Frank.
Just a pet peeve of mine. I think I put a feature request in with Zoom about this content moderation.
Right.
I think Zoom really should consider having a situation where people can make comments, but they don't appear until the owner of the clip reads the comment and says, yes, I'm going to let that comment stand for other users to read, because you could get some vile comments on these comment systems. And especially in my scenario, like I can't have that. It either it has to be moderated or we won't allow comments.
Right. Yeah. So more, and I'll say this loosely, Frank, more blog style, where if the person on the blog has full admin on and you make a comment, not necessarily will that comment show up on the blog until it's authorized. Got it. All right. So that is the conclusion of Zoom clip features. Let me just go down here. There are a few which I think I might leave for David to do next week, because this is officially for what we've been going over today is officially for next week's release. To go over the actual, you can see here quickly, there's been a lot of resolved issues that have been resolved. So, which is good, but I don't necessarily want to spend time doing that now. We'll be able to see if these actual resolved issues actually do come to light when we actually do have the clients installed, and truly, did they really fix the issue, or did they compound the issue by actually fixing it, very similar to Microsoft, where they'll fix a problem which actually causes two more problems. So hopefully we don't run into that type of scenario with the resolved issues. Anybody else have questions, comments regarding Zoom or what they're doing, if they need any help or anything? What I'll do is I'll go and see if there's any comments on YouTube as of yet, and nothing there as of right now. Anybody else that want to speak about anything? What you guys are going to be up to this week? Me today. That's okay. That's all right. It's Friday. It's a Friday afternoon / evening for our friends in the UK, Johnny. So
I'm building a new Zoom events hub over the weekend. That's my little task.
Tell us more. No, I'm just kidding. But yes, so yes, our app developer in the group, John, is a busy boy this weekend. He's not going to have an enjoyable weekend by the sounds of it, or, well, I guess building an app is enjoyable for you, John. What do you think? It is. Okay. He's nodding at me for all our friends at YouTube. He's going, yeah, building a Zoom app is cool. All right. On that note, there we go. Okay, so for our friends on YouTube, we'll sign off and say thanks for joining us this week. Don't forget to check us out again next week, every Friday here at 3 p.m. Eastern. And don't forget to, as the normal YouTube influencer says, don't forget to like and subscribe. And we'll see everyone next week, same time, same station, here on the Zoom Test Kitchen.